This is Retro Sports Radio. Visit RetroSeasons.com for more sports history.
The Oakland A's faced the Cincinnati Reds at Riverfront Stadium for Game 2 of the 1972 World Series on October 15th. The A's led the best-of-7 series 1-0. And this is the NBC radio broadcast of Game 2, featuring announcers Jim Simpson and Monty Moore.
I'm Jim Simpson, along with Monty Moore, and welcome to Cincinnati and game number 2, and it is top coat and turtleneck weather this afternoon. The temperature right now, 51 degrees, expected to go to 60, but the sun has already begun to sink down below the stadium on the right field line side. And again this afternoon, that means, as it was in the playoffs, that sun field and left field will be very difficult. Today's pitchers, left-hander Ross Grimsley, 22 years old, a 14-game winner, and he won a playoff game against the Pirates, allowing just 2 hits, is already warming up. The right-hander Catfish Hunter, 21-game winner for the Oakland A's, has not yet begun to warm up. Well, he's got to be happy, but it's not all over yet because they've got possibly 6 more games to go. But he is the voice of the Oakland Athletics. The A's do lead the Reds 1-0. Let's call in Monty Moore.
Thank you very much, Jim Simpson, and hello once again, everybody. Certainly, it is an understatement to mention the fact that the Oakland A's are not overconfident to win the World Series, but they do certainly feel a lot better at this time than they did yesterday. They were decided underdogs, and to come out and win the first game here on the road in the World Series meant a lot to this ball club.
Running down on the field now is one of the great men of our profession, sports announcer Red Barber. And Red has been assigned the duties of emceeing a very special presentation this afternoon that will involve many names, men that you know, honoring the first black athlete in Major League Baseball 25 years ago. Red Barber at one time was the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, but I'm sure you also know that he had great prominence and fame as the voice of the Brooklyn Dodgers, for whom Jackie Robinson played, and later wound up his distinguished broadcasting career as a broadcaster for the New York Yankees. Red now in semi-retirement, writing books, and as we said, the commissioner of baseball, Jackie Robinson and his family, and others years gone by are now just off the pitcher's mound on this sunny but cool day in Cincinnati, and Red is down there now awaiting the signal that he is to begin the ceremony. And now let us go down to the field and Red Barber,
One of the greatest baseball broadcasters of all time, the old redhead, Walter Red Barber. Friends, welcome to the second game of the 1972 World Series. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the entry of the black athlete into Major League Baseball. Today we are about to honor the man Branch Rickey selected to lead the way, who set a brilliant example for all to follow. He is Hall of Famer Jackie Robinson. And first, I'd like to have you meet one of the greatest shortstops of all time and the team captain during Jackie's 10 superlative seasons with the Brooklyn Dodgers, Harold Pee Wee Reese. And here is the first black man to play in the American League. He had an outstanding career, mostly with the Cleveland Indians, beginning in the summer of 1947. Larry Doty. Say hello to one of the great relief pitchers in Dodger history. A one-time teammate of Jackie's, Joe Black. And now the president of the Dodgers, Peter O'Malley. Also here to help honor Jackie, the president of the National League, Carl Cub Feeney. The very lovely lady standing alongside Jackie is his wife, Rachel. Next, their daughter, Sharon. Their son, David. And their friend, Pitch, comma. And now to present baseball's awards to Jackie Robinson. Here is the commissioner of baseball, Mr. Bowie Coon.
Thank you, Red. Jackie Robinson is something special. Special as an athlete, special as a husband and father, special as a human being. Baseball is proud of Jackie Robinson, who has dedicated himself to help others in the crusade against drug abuse. As most of you know, President Nixon named Jackie to his all-time all-star baseball team. Even more significant, the president singled out Jackie as the greatest all-round athlete he has ever seen. The president has requested me to read the following telegram. I am honored to do so. Here are the president's words. Baseball has known many moments of greatness in its long history, but none has been as significant or compelling as that April 15th afternoon, 25 years ago, when Jackie Robinson and 8 other Dodgers took the field for his appearance at first base. Baseball had come of age. It opened its doors to a part of our society which had been wrongfully excluded from the Major League. It is especially fitting that today, in the midst of baseball's most exciting event, the World Series, we pause to honor Jackie Robinson. His place among the superstars of baseball is already assured. Every fan knows of Jackie Robinson's accomplishments in professional ball. What is less well known, but also of great importance, is his work with the youth of America, especially in the field of drug abuse. I am sure that I can speak for every concerned parent in thanking him for this vital contribution to the lives and to the future of our young people. It is through such dedication and determination today, just as it was a quarter of a century ago, that lives are enriched and strengthened and our country made a better place for all. Signed, Richard Nixon. Jackie, your untiring efforts on behalf of drug prevention and drug rehabilitation among the nation's youth have been outstanding. In memory of your son, Jackie Robinson Jr., you have dedicated yourself to helping young people, particularly at Atop, a drug rehabilitation center in Connecticut, where Jackie Jr. and Atop gave so much to each other. I am pleased to have this opportunity to present to you this symbolic baseball honor. Jackie, with congratulations and thanks and all our good wishes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Commissioner. I would just like to say that I was really just a spoke in the wheel of the success that we had some 25 years ago. And personally want to say thank you to a great captain, a guy who was the leader of our ball club and who really set the pace in many, many areas. Pee-wee, thanks so much for being here today. I would like to also say that I would be a real pleasure if Mr. Rickey could have been here with us today, but to the members of the family, my entire love and gratitude for the things that he's done over the years. And I also want to say how pleased I am that my family can be here this afternoon and to thank baseball for the tremendous opportunity that it has presented to me and also for this thrilling afternoon. I'm extremely proud and pleased to be here this afternoon, but must admit I'm going to be tremendously more pleased and more proud when I look at that third base coaching line one day and see a black face managing in baseball. Thank you very much.
On this sunlit afternoon in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Riverfront Stadium, the 25-year anniversary of Jackie Robinson's entry into the Major League. And now, Tony Martin, the entertainer with the Ohio State University Marching Band, will play and sing for this crowd of better than 52,000 as the teams come out from both the first and third base dugouts to take their place in the sun. Our national anthem. Hayes has come out along the third base line, standing just in front of their dugout, and the Reds, dressed in white and red, of course, along the first base line. And now the announcement for Tony Martin, who today, I would guess you would call the color a very pink suit. A black sombrero he's taken off and has held over his heart. And Tony Martin will now sing for us our national anthem.
Sung by Mr. Tony Martin.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. We'll have the starting lineup for Game 2 of the World Series in just a moment.
Well, yesterday's game, if those of you that didn't get it, Gene Tennis, who is a .225 hitter during the regular season, and Vida Blue, who only won 6 games in the same span, well, they led the A's yesterday to a 3-2 victory over the Reds in the opening game. There was 52,000 fans there in Cincinnati, most of them followers of the Reds, but they were saddened by the outcome. Tennis clouded 2 homers to account for Oakland's victory. His first wallop came in the second inning with George Hendrick, a replacement for the injured Reggie Jackson, scoring ahead of him. The second homer broke a 2-2 tie in the fifth, and the circuit drive proved to be the winning run. Tennis was hitless 15 times in a row before he drove in the winning run with a single in the final playoff game against the Tigers. During the regular season, Tennis had 5 homers to his credit, with only 32 runs batted in. And both of his homers came off losing pitcher Gary Nolan, and they also set a record. First 2 times up at bat in a World Series, and he hit home runs.
The Ohio State University Marching Band leaving the field and at home plate. Pete Rose has brought out the lineup for the Cincinnati Reds. Dick Williams out there, the manager of the Oakland A's. The umpires today, Jim Honachek will be behind home plate. From the American League, Mel Steiner, the National League at first base. Frank Humont of the American League down at second. Bob Engel of the National League in his first World Series over at third base. Bill Haller of the American League along the left field line. And Chris Colacutis, who called balls and strikes yesterday along the right field line. And we will get to those starting lineups in a moment, but right now from Cincinnati, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification.
At 790 and 1420 in the Canal Zone, this is SCN Radio, an affiliate of the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Along with Monty Moore, Jim Simpson in Cincinnati, the Oakland A's will lead it off with shortstop Canty Campanera. Batting second, the right fielder, Matty Alou. Batting third, Joe Rudi, the left fielder. Batting cleanup, remember Reggie Jackson hurt himself in the playoffs in Detroit and is out of the series. Mike Epstein now bats fourth. Sal Bando, the third baseman, bats fifth. George Hendrick is in center field replacing the injured Reggie Jackson. Gene Tennis, who hit 2 home runs yesterday to drive in all 3 runs and give the A's the opening, is the catcher and bats seventh. Dick Green is at second base batting eighth, and 21-game winner Catfish Hunter is the pitcher. Now, Hunter does not have an overwhelming fastball, an excellent fastball, a fine curve, breaking pitch, and Catfish Hunter makes the good pitches. Very seldom does he have that ball out over the plate. Last season, or I should say this season just passed, Hunter won 21 and lost only 7, and his .750 percentage led the American League. For the Cincinnati Reds, switch hitter Pete Rose will lead it off. Playing left field, Rose will be batting from the left side. This is where he hits best. Joe Morgan, another left-hander, is at second base. And Bobby Tolan is out in center field. Now, these are the 3 men that the left-handers Holtzman and Blue were able to contain yesterday, and Catfish Hunter must contain today if he is to win for Oakland. Johnny Bench, well, Bench had a great day yesterday, but he led off 4 times, and as everybody knows, the Cincinnati Reds do not win ball games when they've got Bench as a leadoff hitter. He's the leading RBI man, and he likes to come up with men on base. Bench now being introduced, the rest of the team taking the field. Tony Perez will be at first base. Dennis Menke is the third baseman. Cesar Geronimo is out in right field batting seventh. And the only lineup change for either squad, aside from the pitchers, of course, is Darrell Taney, a switch hitter, will be at shortstop to get him in there with his left-handed bat against the right-handed Catfish Hunter. Ross Grimsley, a young 22-year-old who won 14 ball games during the regular season and lost 8, is on the mound. Grimsley, as we said, had great success in defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates in the playoff games, winning in that game 7-1, allowing the 2 hits, both by, well, incomparable Roberto Clemente, a single and a home run. Grimsley does have a good fastball. It is not as good as Don Gullett, who's scheduled to pitch game number 3, but Johnny Bench says it's just that far away from being as good. Grimsley may benefit from the fact that he has Jim Honachek, an American League umpire, behind the plate, because Grimsley throws the high fastball, and in the American League, they give you the high fastball as a strike. In the National League, they give you the low ball as a strike. So Grimsley, who has had control problems, may, as we said, get the benefit of Jim Honachek, the American League umpire, behind the plate. Grimsley was particularly effective against the Pirates because he was able to get the ball over and was ahead of most of the batters. He's got a good fastball, does not have a slider, Monty, but rather he cuts that fastball a little bit and got a fine-looking curve. Problem? Control. If Grimsley's on, the A's are in for a long afternoon. Campy Campaneris, the weight's on deck, and he has been something else again. But the man who's followed him all year long, I'm sure is eager to talk about him and the rest of the A's. Let's call him again, the voice of the Oakland Athletics, Monty Moore.
Okay, Jim, thank you. And here we go with game number 2. Bert Campaneris from Pueblo, Nuevo, Cuba, steps in to start another ball game. And did he start it auspiciously here yesterday with the crowd booing because of the suspension bat throwing incident that happened in the playoffs against the Detroit Tigers. Campaneris quietened them down with a line drive base hit to left field to start the ball game yesterday. He had 2 hits in 3 tries. Campaneris, the American League stolen base champion, 6 of the last 8 years. The Reds are playing him straight away and shallow in the corners. Here's the first pitch of the game, and it's a strike, says Jim Honachek, and the crowd roars. Well pitched, outstandingly well defense ball game yesterday. Saw the A's winning 3-2. Here's the pitch to Campaneris, high and away. It's the ball, 1-1. Grimsley is not a strikeout pitcher, oddly enough. He this year pitched 198 innings, struck out only 79 batters, even though he throws the ball very hard. Left-hander to the plate. Campaneris drills it foul into the seats over the top of the Reds dugout, which is located on the first base side of this beautiful stadium on the riverfront in downtown Cincinnati. Matty Alou and Joe Rudi will bat also here in the first inning for Oakland. A very fair park for home runs, 330 feet down the line in left and right, 375 in the power alley, and 404 in dead center. The fence about 10 feet high. Campaneris takes the curve low, the first breaking ball that Grimsley has thrown. They tell us he's very inconsistent about how he pitches. He'll go out one day and be a breaking ball pitcher. The next day he feels better with a fastball, so he'll go 90% fastballs. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and Campaneris fouls it back. I would imagine that Johnny Bench, who though is only 24 years old, is considered a veteran might have a lot to do with what Mr. Grimsley throws out there in this game and others, because he definitely is the leader type. Here's the pitch. Campaneris bounces one to the second baseman. Joe Morgan up with it. Lots of time. He throws him out. One down. And now here's Matty Alou, the Oakland A's right fielder who hit over 300 for the year, mostly with the St. Louis Cardinals. The A's obtained him from the Cardinals August 27th in a trade for an outfielder named Bill Voss and a minor league player. Matty appeared in 32 Oakland games, and the A's were winners in 22 of those down the stretch. Grimsley's first pitch is a curve outside a ball. The Reds infield playing very shallow on Alou, particularly Dennis Menke at third. He is inside the bag and towards home plate. Called strike over the outside corner, and Jim, that looked like that cut fastball to me. It was not a slider, but it looked like one, and for all intents and purposes could be the same thing. That basically is how the pitcher throws a slider anyway, is they cut the fastball. Here's the 1-1 pitch, and Alou bounces it on the infield. Dennis Menke over to his left, up with it plenty of time. He gets him at first base. There are two down. And now here's the A's most consistent hitter through the 1972 season, Joe Rudi. Rudi was in the top 5 hitters throughout the season in the American League, ended up with a .305 average and 19 home runs. And the Red scouting reports send their outfielder, particularly the center fielder, well over into right center. A gaping hole up the alley in left center field for Rudi. They do not expect him to pull the ball. He has hit several home runs, however, to left field. He's a right-handed batter, a big, strong guy. Lifts weights all winter to stay in shape. There's a line shot left field base hit. He hit it right through where the shortstop normally would be playing. And on the pitch, incidentally, the shortstop Chaney broke to his left as it was on the way to the plate. It was supposed to be an outside pitch, apparently, and it was not, and Rudi yanked it right by where he had been. So there's the first hit for Joe Rudi in World Series competition, and it brings to the plate the A's strongman Mike Epstein. Big Mike led the Oakland Ball Club in home runs this year with 26. He had a .270 batting average and knocked in 70 runs. Joe Morgan, the second baseman for Cincinnati, is almost out of sight. He's out in right field. Pitch is low and away to Epstein. Their shortstop is playing almost on a line over the pitcher's mound and out around second base. Dennis Menke about 20 steps over towards second. And Perez, the first baseman, is playing right behind Joe Rudi, not holding him on. Strike called to Epstein. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Yesterday's game, Epstein did not have a hit. In 3 at-bats, he had 1 walk and came close to hitting one out of here. His first time up, he backed Geronimo to the wall in right field. Grimsley's pitch to the curve, and it's bang foul past A's first base coach Jerry Adair. Adair was a player for Dick Williams, the A's manager. The last time that Williams was in a World Series, that was in '67 when he managed the Boston Red Sox to an American League pennant. One-two pitch to the curve outside and high. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Epstein. Mike really looks him over. He takes a lot of pitches. He hit a ball yesterday that was headed to right field, and on normal baseball fields for the American League would have been a base hit easily, but here Joe Morgan just went over to his left and threw him out at first base very easily. 2-2 pitch. Curveball popped up out behind third near the stands. Menke going over. He may have a play on it. He holds up and can't grab it off. Just short of the stands to the far end of the Oakland A's dugout. Menke playing over for the left-handed full-hitting Epstein and could not really get a visual sighting on that ball. Apparently the sunshine, which is very bright right now here in Cincinnati, prevented him from picking it up exactly, and he didn't really go all the way to the wall after that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out and 1 on in the top half of the first inning. Game 2 of the 1972 World Series. Grimsley sets the pitch on the way. Very close, and Epstein's got to have good eyes to take one like that. Speaking of Epstein's eyes, he had an eye infection which kept him out of the A's lineup for a period of 12 days this year. He wears contact lenses and got some kind of an infection in his eye. Now Perez will back up behind Joe Rudi. Rudi now will be able to get a few extra steps as they don't hold him on at all. Epstein ready at the plate. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss on a change-up curveball. Beautiful pitch by Grimsley. So in the first inning, Oakland, no runs, one hit. No errors. There was a man left on. And after a half inning of play, the A's don't score. The Reds come to bat.
Well, it wasn't surprising that a catcher was the key figure in the opening game of the 1972 World Series. But it was unusual that the hero was the Oakland A's catcher, not the Cincinnati Reds catcher. Gene Tennis, who isn't exactly a household name, achieved a remarkable feat by becoming the first player ever to homer in his first two World Series at-bats to give the underdog A's a 3-2 victory over the Reds. And that was enough to overshadow Johnny Bench, who collected 2 hits, walked, and scored both Cincinnati Reds runs in the losing cause. Tennis, whose only hit in the American League playoffs, won the final game after his error helped to lose the 4th game, also made the key play in the field that ruined the Reds' best comeback hope. He called for a pitch-out after David Concepcion led off the 7th with a single. Concepcion was going on a hit-and-run play, and he was gunned down at second. It was a controversial play because Concepcion insisted, "He never touched me." But umpire Mel Steiner said he was tagged out, and it was important because the Reds got 2 walks later in the inning. Now back to World Series action. Back in Cincinnati, Jim Simpson with Monty Moore. Catfish Hunter now taking his warm-up since he's had 21-7 on the regular season, the best winning percentage in the American League, .750. He started the first and fourth games of the recent playoffs against Detroit, had no decisions, worked 15 in the third innings, gave up 2 runs, 10 hits, and his earned run average during that 15 and the third inning span, 1.17. Yesterday, in trying to figure how the Oakland A's how they would play the Cincinnati Reds, who are the overwhelming favorites, we made a point. A lot of people felt it was how they handled their left-handers, handled the Cincinnati staff. Today it is the right-handers, and that means they're going to get Rose, Morgan, and Tolan all left-handers before Johnny Bench comes to bat as the first right-handed batter. Last of the first, there is no score. Rose steps in, and so does Martin. Hunter had trouble in the early innings in both playoff games against Detroit. But he's a bulldog of a pitcher and stayed right in there. Here's the first pitch to beat Rose, and it's inside for a ball. 8 years in a row, this great player has hit over 300 in National League play. The A's held him without a hit yesterday. Down in a deep crouch, the pitch to him is high fly ball out into left. Captain Harris, the shortstop, is back. Joe Rudi may run him off the play. He does, and the A's left fielder puts it away. There's one out. Here's little Joe Morgan, who lives in Oakland. Will be in business in Oakland this coming winter. And he has really been in big business here in Cincinnati this year. He had stolen 131 bases the past 3 years, ranking him among baseball's best base stealers, and he racked up 58 more this year for Cincinnati. A definite candidate for most valuable player in the National League. He hit .292. The pitch to him is inside and low, ball 1. Also knocked in 73 runs for the Big Red Machine. Fastball called strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jim Hunter, a control pitcher. And by that, I don't mean that he just doesn't walk many. Less than 3 a game. But a control pitcher in the major leagues is one who controls the strike where he wants it. Curve, swinging, strike 2, and that one really turned the corner. A's catchers say you could catch Catfish Hunter in a rocking chair. Puts the mitt up, and the ball is going to be very close to there. He's having his normal day. 37 starts. Hunter had very few bad games this year. Swinging strike 3, he blew a fastball by Morgan. The inside part of the plate knee high. So there are 2 down now in the first inning, and here's Bobby Tolan, another of the exciting Cincinnati Red outfielders. As Jim Simpson was mentioning yesterday, this guy has had an Achilles tendon tear not once but twice. A very serious injury to any athlete, particularly one who explodes away from the plate with the power and strength and speed of a Bobby Tolan. Bobby had a hit here yesterday. He hit .283 for the season and knocked in 82 runs. Just ran up on the first pitch, and it is high for ball 1. Mike Epstein, the A's big first baseman, is very, very deep on the right side, and Dick Green, the second baseman, is halfway out in right field. The pitch, swinging strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. You would look at a defense like this and look at a hitter with the speed of a Tolan and figure that if he could drag the ball by the mound, he would have an easy base hit. But on this carpet, not so. He just tried it, and he missed. Swinging strike 2.
Tolan trying to bunt on a Hunter high fastball. We're in the first inning. It's about 15 degrees cooler than it was at this time yesterday, but bright sunshine. Foul ball. Back is Tolan. Took a rip at a Hunter fastball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. This left-handed batter can hit the ball out of the park. He hit 8 home runs this year and swiped 42 bases. Hunter kicks the white shoe of the A's in the air, throws a breaking ball that is swung on and missed. The catcher does not see the ball. Now he picks it up, and Tolan, standing at home plate, is tagged out. Very disgustedly standing there. He never did start to run. Gene Tennis, the A's catcher, never saw the ball, which he had blocked with his mitt. So Catfish Hunter strikes out Morgan and Tolan. The Reds go 1-2-3, and after an inning of play, it is 0-0.
Taking a look at old World Series, only one perfect game has ever been thrown in a World Series, and that's Don Larsen's 2-0 masterpiece for the Yankees over the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1956. 2 other Yankee hurlers came close. Bill Bevins was winging toward that elusive mark in 1947, also against the Dodgers, when Cookie Levigetto broke up the perfect game with a 2-out hit in the 9th. And in 1927, the year of Babe Ruth's 60-home run season, slender southpaw Herb Pennock tried to share some of the glory coming the way of the Bronx Bombers. With the help of Murderer's Row, Pennock knocked 19 games during the regular season. The New Yorkers won the first 2 games of the 27 series from the Pirates, and Pennock worked Game 3. Pennock carefully noted the hitting personalities of the Pirates in the first 2 games, and when his turn came, he was ready. He retired Glenn Wright on a sharp grounder leading off the 8th. The next batter was Pye Traynor. Traynor laced a single to snap Pennock's no-hit in perfect game, and then Bennett chased him home with a double. But now back to 1972 and Cincinnati, Ohio.
Well, we have to comment on just what happened. Bobby Tolan went for a low pitch out of the strike zone, struck out swinging to end the first, and was so disgusted he never ran it out. Gene Tennis, the catcher, didn't know where the ball was. Tolan might have been safe, and brought up Johnny Bench, the Major League leading RBI man. Now, for the 5th time in the series, which is only a little bit more than the game old, in the next inning, Bench must lead off again. He'll have no chance to drive and run, barring hitting a home run. But it's the top of the 2nd. Here again is Mott. Sal Bando, the A's team captain who led the ball club in game-winning hits with 16, is up to start it off, and he fouls one right under us. Foul ball coming back over that screen. Looks as if it had a shot at us for a while. Strike 1 to Bando. He had a .236 batting average this year, some 40 points under his Major League career average. But he had 15 home runs. He is a clutch player. Knocked in 77 runs for the A's to lead the team. Takes a good swing and fouls it back. No balls, 2 strikes. Ross Grimsley, they say, is as cool as a 22-year-old player could be. He showed it by pitching a 2-hitter at the Pirates at a much-needed time for a good pitching job for Cincinnati in the playoffs. Now the 0-2 pitch to Bando. Knocks him off the plate a little bit. It's 1-2. Bando was probably the youngest team captain ever to play in the major leagues and be so appointed by his manager. In 1968, only his 2nd year in the majors, he was designated Oakland A's team captain. He has that kind of leadership ability. Curveball, line to left center field. It's a base hit. Over to cut it off with a leaping grab is Tolan. Grimsley hung a curveball to Bando, who is a very good breaking ball hitter. And he ripped it to left center field. Base hit number 2 for Oakland, and for Bando, his first major league base hit in the World Series. Here is George Hendricks. A young fella who has an attitude a whole lot like Grimsley. He has not been around this kind of competition very much, but it doesn't bother him. The Oakland A's players call George Easy. He's hit 4 home runs this year, batted .182, played very little, bouncing ball. Off the pitcher's glove to second baseman Morgan, over to the shortstop for 1, back to first, no double play. Cheney just missed a double play, and the way they missed it was that Grimsley, the pitcher, tipped the ball to the second baseman Morgan, who had it, I believe, all the way for what would have been an easy double play. So George Hendricks beats out the throw to first, and he's on for Gene Tennis. Gives the pitcher an assist on that play. And the crowd starts to buzz a little as Gene Tennis comes up. You know, they're talking about Tennis pulling something yesterday and it being such an upset. There's a high fly ball out into short left field. Back goes Cheney, and comes Rose, and Pete picks it off. Hendrick goes back over to first base. There are 2 down. People in the National League seem to be very startled about the fact that Tennis can hit the ball, but he has a lifetime big league average of 275, 280, somewhere in that vicinity, and
Though he hasn't played much for Oakland this year, he came on very strongly at the end of the season. And the A's aren't too surprised anytime Kenneth has a good day. Here's Dick Green, the second baseman. Had a disc removed from his back early in the season. Swinging foul tip. 1 strike count on Green. Dick was off to a super start for Oakland, was hitting .381 when at Yankee Stadium on a night of April 24th, a very cold night, he hit a ground ball to the left side of the infield and started running to first and just crumpled in a heap. Turned out he had a herniated disc. They operated on it very quickly, and you might call it miraculous that he's playing baseball here again. Pitch to him, a swung on, hit right up the middle, off second base into center field, a base hit for Green. So Dick Green is on at first. George Hendricks stops at second base, and now the best hitting pitcher in the American League, Jim Catfish Hunter, comes up. Last year, Hunter hit .350 for the Oakland A's, and when he went to the contract table with A's owner Charlie Finley to negotiate his 1972 contract, they got very close, and finally Hunter said, I'll tell you what, I'll settle for $50,000 only on one condition, that you call $45,000 of it for my pitching, $5,000 of it for my hitting. Charlie Finley said, you got a deal. So Hunter is a pitcher who got paid for hitting last year. A pitch to him, swing and a miss, a strike. Hunter bats him right-handed. Very strong guy, a 200-pounder. He hits a lot to right field. Grimsley set. Hunter hits a line drive left field. Base hit left field. Hendricks can score. He's rounding third. Here comes a throw to the plate. Here comes Hendricks. Baines blocks the plate, but he doesn't get the ball. Hendricks scores. And the Oakland A's are leading the Cincinnati Reds 1-0 on a line drive base hit by Jim Catfish Hunter. The first play we have had at the plate in the World Series, Jim, and I was really interested in seeing how the throw from the outfield gets to the plate in a hurry on the bounce.
It sure does, and now we begin to, in this game of inches, as we always talk about, Monty, realize that when Hendrick hits that ball back and was slightly tipped by Ross Grimsley, it erased any chance for double play. Had he not tipped it, they would have been out of the inning.
A big consideration for sure, and Grimsley tipped it with the glove hand, which is the hand away from the side the ball was going. He lunged at it. It was a close play at first. You have to hand George Hendricks some credit for the speed and hustle with which he went down that line on what looked to be a sure double play. Now the A's have runners first and second, and here's the leadoff man, Campaneris. The pitch to him is a fastball too low. It's ball one. One of the few times in the last month or so of the season that an A's second baseman has batted his first time up with a man on base. Dick Green did, kept the inning alive with a base hit. Now Grimsley's pitch to Campaneris is outside and high ball two, and the little road runner is looking him over. And right away, the bullpen crew goes to work for Cincinnati. Pedro Borbon, who pitched here yesterday, a right-hander, is up loosening for the Reds. Green off second, Hunter off first. Grimsley's pitch. Campaneris hits one to left center field. Base hit. Green rounding third. He's heading home. Here comes the throw. It is going to be close, and he crashes in the bench. Bench holds onto the ball. Green is out. Pete Rose threw out Dick Green on a base hit by Campaneris. Johnny Bench got that ball about 4 feet up the line. He was getting a real good dead man fake at the plate. So the Oakland A's score 1 run in the second inning on 3 base hits. There were no errors, and there were 2 left on. The score after an inning and a half in Cincinnati, Oakland 1, Cincinnati nothing.
Well, Bert Campaneris was scared witless. He admitted it. He was scared Thursday night, turning over and over in his mind the enormity of what he had done, so he got down on his knees. He was still frightened and clearly apprehensive as to what kind of reception he'd receive when he showed up at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati Friday before most of his Oakland A teammates for a final workout before Saturday's World Series opener with the Reds. Have you seen this? Asked one newsman, handing Campaneris the statement that was issued by Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner of baseball. And that statement, of course, had said that Campaneris would be suspended the first 7 days of next season for deliberately throwing his bat at Detroit pitcher Laren LeGros in last Sunday's game at Oakland. Kuhn, however, was allowing Campaneris to participate in the World Series. I feel very happy, said the Venezuelan board infielder. It's fair. In no time at all, virtually all the reporters who had been behind the batting cage watched the Reds workout, moved toward Campaneris, and Campaneris said, beautiful ballpark, who has seen it for the first time, and now let's get back to that ballpark and more action between Oakland and Cincinnati.
They were probably discussing that play. It took him out of a big inning, and that had been the fourth base hit, that one by Campaneris, in the inning. Last of the second, 1-0, Oakland, here's money.
Johnny Bench, a very unusual twist to the first game yesterday. The cleanup hitter ended up the leadoff batter 4 times, and here he is again today. Hunter's curveball to him, a strike gets the letters. The National League home run and RBI champion, Johnny Bench. He hit 40 homers, knocked in 125 runs. Hunter's pitched to him a fastball over the outside corner, and he's throwing it in the teacup today. No balls and 2 strikes. Dick Williams was very irritated, I believe, at the play at the plate and the fact that Bench had the baseline so far blocked before he had the ball. There's a bouncing ball deep behind second. Throw to first by Campaneris is not in time. Johnny Bench gets the base hit up the middle that Campaneris fielded in short center field. Well, as the leadoff man, Jim, Bench is doing quite a job.
Led off yesterday and had a couple of base hits plus a walk, and of course scored the first 2 runs as leadoff man. Bonnie, I don't think we pointed out to those who may not have heard yesterday, this is the most completely carpeted field in the major leagues. Only the sections around each base are uncovered. Only those sections have dirt. Everything else between the bases is carpeted.
Bench at first. Here's a pitch to Tony Perez, and it's fouled off just to our left, strike 1. Perez in yesterday's ball game for Cincinnati had a couple of base hits. He's knocked in 90 runs 6 years in a row in the National League. Johnny Bench, who stole 2 bases in the playoffs, has got a lead at first. Hunter gives him a look. Pitch to the plate. Perez takes a high hanging breaking ball. It's 1-1. The Oakland A's had 5 hits off young Ross Grimsley already, but have made him count for only 1 run. Hunter throws to the plate. Perez hits a high fly ball up third. Pando over near the stand. There'll be no play for the A's captain. So the scoreboard ticks off the second strike. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes on Perez, the first baseman. For Oakland, 1 run, 5 hits and no errors. For Cincinnati, no runs, 1 hit and no errors. The last half of the second inning. Jim Hunter, who has won over 60 games total the last 3 years, comes to the plate with a fastball, moving Perez back a little bit. It's 2-2. Hunter says that winning 20 games was a bigger thrill to him than pitching the perfect game, which he did, and is the last pitcher in the major leagues to do so, against Minnesota in 1968. Curveball of Perez takes it high. It's 3-2. So this could be a mighty big pitch for Jim Hunter. With the runner at first base, Johnny Bench. Dick Green comes in a little more shallow now at second. Bench leads the way. He might be going here. He's leaning. Epstein watches him go. The pitch is outside. Ball 4. Jim Hunter gave up a 2-strike base hit to Johnny Bench. He hit one right up the middle. And now Perez draws a walk on a 3-2 count, and the Reds have the tying and go-ahead runners on. And here is third baseman Dennis Menke, who Sparky Anderson calls one of the best clutch hitters in baseball. Now Pando's going over from third base to talk to Jim Hunter. Pedro getting 2 shots at runners at the plate. Got 1 of them. Dick Green was the runner, and he is not close to back to his full running speed, which he was actually a pretty fast runner. Menke squares around, bumps the ball foul off the first base line. But Geronimo and Cheney due to come up following Menke. The Reds trying to move Johnny Bench up. The A's yesterday wore a California gold top to their uniforms. Today they're wearing a Kelly green. They always wear what Charlie Finley calls a polar bear white pant, and they wear white baseball shoes. They were the first team to deviate in the major leagues from the normal black baseball shoe, but today several major league teams wear varying colored shoes. Chicago White Sox wear red shoes. 1 strike to count. Runners first and second, nobody down, last half of the second inning. The A's have a pickoff play on down at second. The ball goes into center field. George Hendrick in to pick it up. Inch goes over to third, and going to second is Perez. That throw from Hunter went right over the bag, but Johnny Bench coming back in, crashed into Dick Green, and Green did not catch the ball. The A's executed that play quite often this year. They would start their shortstop towards third base, hoping that the runner at second would go over that way, figuring second was not being covered. Then the pitcher Hunter wheels and covers second with a throw. Dick Green got over there. The throw went right over the bag. It'll have to be an error on the play, and now the A's infield backs up. The pitch to Menke, swing a high fly ball off first base near the stands. Epstein is over, no play. The throwing error by Catfish Hunter. The A's pitcher moves Bench to third and Perez to second, and now the Oakland A's would be content to give up a run on a ground ball in the infield unless it happened to be hit very sharply to Sal Bando. Campaneris has a good enough arm that even though he's playing short and playing it very deep, he could take a shot at the plate. Hunter working off the full windup. Here's the pitch. Menke takes inside a ball. It's 1-2. Hunter really needs a strikeout right here. Menke is a tough strikeout. Shortens up on the bat with 2 strikes on him. He's up on the handle, 4 or 5 inches. Around comes the arm. Hunter's pitch to the curve outside. Sharp breaking pitch is on the way. It's a swinging strike 2. They see the high Hudson right by him. And that puts up his first strikeout of the game. Now here's Geronimo. And Dick Williams is out of the dugout on the way to the mound. Jim, what do you think he might have in mind here? Well, as long as he steps over that, I would imagine, Monty, and you can bring out your baseball expertise also, whether or not to put Geronimo on with an open base and set up the possibility of a double play. We shall see. He has got his scorecard out. He is talking to the infielders, and as he does, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
In football this afternoon, NFL action. In the first period, Cleveland at Chicago. Thomas has scored a touchdown. 41-yard pass from Douglas to Thomas. The extra point by Percival. The score now is Chicago 7 and Cleveland nothing. And in the first period, a touchdown by the Jets. A run by Riggins. The extra point by Houfield was good. And the score now, New York Jets 7, New England nothing. And let's pause now for station identification. This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Catfish Hunter does with Cesar Geronimo. Pitch around him a little bit, not give him anything too good. First base is open. We'll see. Here's Monty. Hunter pitching to a 275 hitter, swinging at a miss on a good live fastball. So the A's are going right at this fellow. Cheney carried a hot bat through the last week or so of the National League playoffs. So Dick Williams is going to take his chances right here with Geronimo. Runners second and third. The pitch on the way. Swinging strike 2, and Hunter is just challenging the batter now. He's not being cute. It's just rear back and let her go. You wonder, Monty, whether or not Dick Williams, that paper he took out of his pocket, might not have been his scouting report, telling and reminding Hunter what to throw. No balls, 2 strikes. The pitch on the way. Curveball, and he pops it foul. Out of play. Yes, it would be a little unusual that a baseball manager might take crib notes for a little conference out on the mound, but I understand that Williams had just that yesterday in his hands when he went out there, a scouting report. He also had in his other hand a look at the lineup card to see who was going to be batting next. When you're playing a team from another league, the A's never even play Cincinnati in spring training. They train in Florida, the A's in Arizona. Pitch, swing, and a foul out of play. Geronimo in order to knock in a run. Just has to hit the ball on the infield somewhere to the right side. They are so deep that the A's would be content to give up a run in order to get that big second out. Jim Hunter, the Catfish as he's called, throws, misses inside. It's 1-2. He started Geronimo off with 2 blazing fastballs, then threw a couple of curves. One was taken for a ball. Gene Kenneth gives the target. It's inside again. The pitch fouled off. Geronimo was late swinging at Hunter's first 2 fastballs, but it looks now as if he has shortened that swing up a little bit, knowing he's just got to make some contact. The score is 1-0 Oakland, last half of inning number 2. But the Reds right now are in a great position to score. These are Geronimo. A surprise in a trade with Houston.
He's up on the bat handle about 3 or 4 inches. Hunter winds, kicks, and throws. High and inside it goes to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Two pitch, curveball, bounce foul off first. Hunter throws 2 kinds of fastballs. He'll throw fastball over the top. That's a riser. And he has another that he cuts a little bit. And it sinks. It looks as if he was throwing the sinking fastball early to Geronimo. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bench from third. Perez from second. Get the lead. Hunter's pitch on the way. Fouled away. And this Geronimo has things all fouled up. 5 or 6 in a row. He's just trying to get some piece of the wood on the ball. Entire field in black sunshine except for a little curve out in right where Matty Alou, the A's right fielder, is standing. Battle goes on between Hunter and Tennant. Now the North Carolinian cuts loose. Swinging strike 3. He got another one. So there are 2 down, and Cheney is the batter with first base open, and Dick Williams is going out of the dugout towards the mound. This will be his second trip to the mound in this inning. Monty with first base open. He's calling him over here now. You never like to put men on, but the scouting report is on Ross Grimsley as a hitter. Not much. He's only had 14 hits in his life in 117 at-bats. All of those have been singles. And again, you can look at it another way of a baseball man. The tying run is at third base, the go-ahead run at second base, of course, but you would like to get Cheney and start off inning number 3 with Grimsley. It definitely opens up a pretty good kettle of worms for second guessing, Jim. Well, a priority of importance, I would imagine, Monty, as long as you got a 1-run lead, you try to keep it. We'll find out what the answer is going to be. Cheney has been a hot hitter. He's a big guy. He's 6'1", 190 pounder. For the year, hit 250. They're going to walk him. So Ross Grimsley will have it on his shoulders. I would imagine that there will be people who will ask Dick Williams after the game, why did you even go to the mound to talk about this? And Dick will have an answer. You can bet on that. If Hunter gets out of this, it'll be the kind of stout-hearted pitching that has made him one of the best in the American League. Now I know what they talk about, Monty. Someone asked Dick Williams yesterday. He, like most of the Oakland A's, wears a mustache, and it's slightly gray. He said when we started the playoffs, it was black. It's turned. It has been a wild, wild baseball situation in America the last 10 days. Here's Ross Grimsley, a left-handed batter. Bases loaded. The pitch from Hunter. High, a ball. 1-0. And the Cincinnati fans got that enthusiasm with a little vocal support for Grimsley. Hunter's pitch coming in there. High fly ball off third, near the stands. Being chased by Bando and Campaneris. It goes into the seat. Hits the ball on a strike. 3 players and 2 umpires converged on the same area. Down the left field line. On the count. Grimsley cocks the bat. Here's the pitch. Strike 2 call. Jim Hunter has had an exceptional fastball here in just the second inning. And he has needed every mile per hour velocity that he could get on it. Here's the 1-2 pitch. He struck out the side. Catfish Hunter displaying fantastic courage with a runner at third and nobody down. Strikes out Minky, Geronimo, and Grimsley. And after 2 innings of play, it's 1-0 Oakland.
The United States has won the Davis Cup. Stan Smith defeated Romania's Ion Tiriac 4-6, 6-2, 6-4, 2-6, 6-0 in a dramatic 3.5-hour tennis battle today in Bucharest to take the title. And that gives the U.S. team a 3-1 lead in the 3-day meet, assuring it of the Cup no matter what the outcome of the last single match today. Smith's victory gives the United States the 5th consecutive Davis Cup win. an achievement that no other team has obtained in the post-war history of the coveted cup. But the reigning Wimbledon champion had more troubles with the 33-year-old Syriac than he and everybody else expected. Smith started getting very nervous and lost his service in the second game, allowing Syriac to move on to a 5-2 lead and take the first set 6-4. And the Miami Dolphins go after their fifth straight National Football League victory against San Diego today at the Orange Bowl in NFL action. They go to the top of the third inning. Oakland leads 1-0, scoring in the second. Bando led off with a single. Hendrick grounded the ball back that Grimsley touched and possibly took off the double play. Hendrick reaching on the fielder's choice as Bando was forced at second base. After Tennis slide out, Dick Green singled, and then Hunter singled. And it was Catfish Hunter singled that drove in Hendrick for the only one of the ball game. Campanella singled, and they sent Green home, but he was out by a mile. You know, from all year, Monty can tell you this better than I. It's been a very aggressive ball club on the bases, led by Campy Campanella. Well, Johnny Bench shot down Campanella yesterday, along with fast runner Alan Lewis, as they tried to steal second. And Pete Rose today has had two chances at home plate, but obviously, Monty, they're not going to change their game plan. They're running, they're aggressive. They lead 1-0 as we start the third. The A's theme all season has been make it happen, and that's the way they do it. Matty Alou, veteran of the A's, up and tries to bang one by the third baseman. It goes foul. Dennis Minsky playing it very shallow, and Matty likes to go to the left side with an outside pitch. He'll throw the inside pitch. Grimsley delivers. Alou takes the curve high for a ball. Matty is 33 years old. He's from Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. A great little player, a great little man. He has been outstanding for Oakland. The curveball strikes called. It's 1-2. Matty has appeared in 3 All-Star games, the Championship Series, and the World Series before this year. So he has been there. Grimsley's pitch. Matty hits it on the ground to Dennis Minsky. And the Red third baseman fires across to Perez. There's one out in the top half of the third inning. Here's Joe Rudi. Rudi pulled a sharp grounder through the left side of the infield for a base hit back in the first inning. It was the first of 5 hits the A's had so far in the game. Rudi is one of the slowest players in baseball in getting into the home plate area. He always takes a lot of time, sort of regroups as he gets up there. Grimsley throws a curve that hangs high and outside to Rudi. Ball 1. Joe's one of the very few Major League Baseball players I have ever heard of who really believes in weightlifting as a conditioning process. Carl Yastrzemski had a minor weightlifting program the year he won the Most Valuable Player Award in 1967, but he doesn't go extensively at it. Rudi does, during the winter only, of course. Grimsley throws 1-0, and Rudi takes the strike on the outside corner. It's 1-1 now. After the game today, these teams will wing to the West Coast, where they'll be playing in Oakland, California on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. The first time in the history of the World Series, 3 games played at night. Rudi fouls this pitch into the upper deck here. It didn't quite reach that far. Back over the right side of the dugout, almost to the mezzanine. 1-2 count. Well, the weather in Oakland has been wet, they tell us. It's been raining for 4 or 5 days. The weatherman will turn it off for the night game Tuesday. Pitch to Rudi is hit up into the air in the deep left field. That baby is really going to charge in it. It is going, and there she goes. A home run for Joe Rudi. A large group of Oakland A's fans waving the white and gold pennant as Joe Rudi touches home plate with his first ever World Series homer. Monty, you never like to give up a home run, but when you're ahead of the hitter, 1 ball, 2 strikes, and give up the home run, that hurts. We had mentioned earlier that Joe Rudi can pull certain pitches for power. He just hit one way up into the seats to dead away left field. Here's Mike Epstein now. It's 2-0 Oakland. Epstein hits the ball sharply at Perez. First backer corrals it, goes to the bag and steps on it there, 2 down. So
the A's have 6 hits off Grimsley. Here's Sal Bando, who had 1 in the second inning. The A's led the American League in home runs this year with 134. The Reds hit 124 in the National League. Yesterday, Oakland had 2. Bando fouls his pitch off to the right side. Oakland surprising most baseball people, particularly National Leaguers, by jumping off to a 1-game lead here yesterday. Bando hits a sharp grounder that hits part of the dirt on the pitcher's mound, goes to the shortstop. Cheney fires across for the out end. That's all for the A's here in the third inning. They pick up a run on the Rudi homer. Nobody left in the score after 2.5 innings. Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing.
Coming up in pro football today, the Miami Dolphins, the only unbeaten team in pro football, take on the San Diego Chargers in an American Football Conference clash. And in other key games, the Kansas City Chiefs, leaders of the AFC Western Division, are at home against the Central Division leading Cincinnati Bengals. The Dallas Cowboys play the Colts at Baltimore, and the Washington Redskins battle the Cardinals in St. Louis. Elsewhere, Chicago at Cleveland, Houston at Pittsburgh, Los Angeles playing the winless Eagles in Philadelphia, the New York Jets are at New England, Atlanta, New Orleans, Minnesota hopes to get back in the winning track against the Broncos at Denver, and Buffalo plays the Raiders in Oakland, and the New York Giants are at San Francisco. And in that Jets-New England game, at the end of one quarter, it's the New York Jets 7 and New England nothing. Chicago leads Cleveland by a score of 7-0. And Miami has just scored. Now it's 3 for Miami and nothing for San Diego.
Monty Moore, this is Jim Simpson. And Monty, oddly enough, we've been pointing it out, this is only the 3rd time in the 2 games that the Reds have started an inning with their top 3 men. Rose, Morgan, and Tolan. They need runs. These are the men that get on base. Jim Hunter pitching to Pedro now. First pitch to him is line to left center field. He's on base. George Hendrick over to pick it up, and Rose takes the turn off first and holds on. Yes, you know, Jim, they said as long as you can keep Bench leading off, and it was certainly evident there in the last inning. Bench and Perez got on, but then the bottom part of the batting order is up, and Hunter mowed them down with strikeouts. This Red Ball club has been a come from behind club all year long. They did it in the playoffs. And here is Joe Morgan to try to keep it going as Rose is on with a second hit off Hunter. Morgan struck out his first time up. Little left-handed batter draws the A's third baseman Bando in. Rose leads away from first. Hunter to the plate. High pop-up behind the plate. Gene Tennis coming back. He may have a play right in front of the screen. He is under it. He's got it. Rose tags it first. He'll hold on. Gene Tennis very calmly coming back. He left his mask at home plate. And right in front of the screen behind home plate, reached up and made the catch. And he's looking right straight up into the sunshine at that spot on the ball field. One down. Here's Bobby Tolan. The score is Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing. A long home run by Joe Rudi gave the A's their second. Hunter's pitch, swinging strike. Oh, he's quick today. I've watched Hunter ever since he made his first pitch in the major leagues. He's never pitched an inning in the minors. And I've never seen him any quicker than he's been this year. Rose draws a throw as he got too far off the bag at first. One strike down. Swinging strike, Tolan way out front of a Hunter curveball. The Reds have the bullpen crew up going again. Big lead for Pedro at first. He's not going. The pitch is fouled away. Pedro Borbon was up a little while ago for Cincinnati. This is Wayne Simpson. Tolan sets with that bat very high. The pitch to him. High fly ball. Out behind short. Campaneris is going back. And the A's little shortstop puts it away, holding Pedro. At first, there are 2 down. Here's Johnny Bench. And with Oakland leading by only 2 runs, this crowd in Cincinnati starts to get a little excited. For the first time in the series, he comes up with somebody on base. Hunter really fixed him super the last time up, so Bench got a base hit. He got it off a great curveball, low and away from him. He's just so strong, he muscled the ball up the middle. The pitch to him is a fastball outside. His home run that tied the last game of the National League Championship Series went into the right field stands, but they say very few home runs go that way off benches bat. Curve misses low, ball 2. So Hunter knows his job right now. Not throw the long ball to Johnny Bench, who led the National League with 40. At one stretch, hit 7 home runs in 7 days in late May for a National League record. Here is a big pitch, 2-0, way outside, ball 3. Johnny Bench looks at the third base coach, but I doubt if there's any real reason to do it. They'll certainly give him the green light to go here if he wants to on 3-0. Here's the pitch. Right down the chute. He was taking all the way. 3-1. Rose led off the third inning with a single. Morgan and Tolan popped up. But now here's the big guy, Johnny Bench at the plate. Hunter sets. Here's the pitch. Fastball hit up into the air in a deep center field. George Hendrick going back with lots of room. Down it comes. He's got it, and the Reds are retired in the third. No runs a hit. They left a man on, and the score after 3 innings of play, Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing.
Well, taking a look at the top 20 major college football teams yesterday and how they fared, number 1, Southern California defeated California 42-14. Oklahoma defeated Texas 27-0. Number 3, Alabama defeated Florida 24-7. Ohio State over Illinois 26-7. Nebraska whooped Missouri 62-0. Michigan defeated Michigan State 10-0. Number 7, Notre Dame defeated Pittsburgh 42-16. Number 8, LSU defeated Auburn 35-7. As number 9 was Auburn. Number 10, Washington lost to Stanford 24-0. Number 11, Texas lost to Oklahoma. Tennessee did not play. Number 13, UCLA defeated Oregon State 37-7. Iowa State lost to Colorado 34-22. Number 15 rated Air Force defeated Boston College 13-9. Colorado defeated Iowa State 34-22. They were rated 16. Penn State over Army 45-0. Arizona State, Utah 59-48, and Oklahoma State lost to Virginia Tech 34-32.
The Hendrick, Tennyson, Green in the Oakland fourth. Oakland leads 2-0. In the second inning, they got a run after Bando singled. Hendrick reached on a fourth play. Tennis flied out, but then Green kept it alive with a single, and Catfish Hunter, the pitcher, drove in the first run. In the third inning, Joe Rudi not having a good time this last couple of days. He was 0 for 13 in the playoff World Series before today. Singled in the first. In the third with one out, he hit the towering home run to make it 2-0. Now, the Reds have not been without their chances. They have the leadoff men on, first and second, with none out, and Catfish struck it out of the second, and then Rose led off with a single in the third, and they failed to score. So now we go to the fourth, and here's Monty. George Hendrick, the leadoff batter for Oakland, takes the call strike from Ross Grimsley, a 14-game winner for Cincinnati this year. They have a right-hander, Wayne Simpson, and another right-hander, Pedro Borbon, throwing in the bullpen. One strike count to Hendrick. He swings and chops one out towards the mound. Grimsley's got it. Turns and throws the first for the out. Hendrick pops a breaking ball. It bounced about head high. Grimsley off the mound in a hurry, got it and threw the first for the out. Now here's the A's catcher, Gene Tennis. They call him Steamboat in Ohio. The A's players call him Gino. Cincinnati fans were probably calling him something else here yesterday. He had 2 home runs. The first man in a long history of Major League Baseball to hit 2 homers his first 2 times up in a World Series. First pitch thrown is down low, ball 1. You become amazed as you stay around this game as many times as things have been done that there's ever a first anymore. Strikes in the outside corner, 1-1. As one writer put it here in Cincinnati, not even Babe Ruth, not even Lou Gehrig, not even Dow Maxfield hit 2 homers their first 2 times up in a World Series. There's a grounder hit to short. Up with the ball on the short hop is Cheney, and his throw to Perez is in time. There are 2 down. Now he's second baseman Dick Green. An odd facet of this baseball game is that both center fielders, Tolan of Cincinnati and George Hendrick of Oakland, are graduates of the same high school, Fremont High in Los Angeles. Dick Green hits the ball in the air to straightaway right field. Easy play for Geronimo. Makes the catch, and the A's go 1-2-3 for the first time in the game. In the middle of the fourth inning, it's Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing.
Now it's time to give the small colleges equal shine. In the small college action over the weekend, Delaware, number 1, defeated Connecticut 32-7. Louisiana Tech, rated number 2, defeated Arkansas State 38-17. Was North Dakota over South Dakota State 51-21. Cal Poly tied Fresno State 24-24. McNeese State defeated Northeast Louisiana 31-14. Number 6, Western Illinois defeated Mankato State 15-13. Livingston State and Western Carolina played to a 14-14 tie. Carson Newman lost to Elon 16-9, and Drake defeated Northern Iowa 24-14. And number 10, Fresno State tied Cal Poly 24-21, or 24-24. Jackson State defeated Southern University 21-17. Tennessee State, Virginia State. Tennessee State came on top 49-0. Nebraska Omaha lost to Northern Colorado 6-0, and Boise State defeated Nevada Reno 56-19 as Hawaii defeated Fullerton State 49-15. Massachusetts defeated Boston University 44-15, and Slippery Rock 17, California, Pennsylvania 7. Let's take a pause now for station identification. This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
In service for you. This is SCN Radio. 790 and 1420 in the Canal Zone.
And we've got 3 more teams we forgot to mention. Western Carolina, number 18, tied Livingston State 14-14. Ashland defeated Central State 27-9, and East Texas State was idle.
Last half, inning number 4, Tony Perez is up. Jim Catfish Hunter misses high and inside with the first pitch. It's ball 1. Perez, Mincy, and Geronimo for Cincinnati. Pitches up high, ball 2, and Hunter, who walked Perez in the second inning, moving Fink over to second base. Now gone to a 2-0 count on him again. This respect might be certainly from the memory bank of Catfish Hunter. Hunter was pitching in the last half of the longest All-Star game in history in Anaheim when Perez came to the plate for the National League and hit a home run to right field to beat Hunter and the American League. So the Catfish never forgets those things, and he's pitching very carefully here to Perez. It's 2-1 the count. There's a grounder up the middle, base hit. Perez is on for the Reds as they continue to get that leadoff man on base. Don Gullett in the Cincinnati bullpen. 2-0 Oakland. That's the third hit for Cincinnati. Hunter's kept them well scattered. They have gone to the leadoff man in the second, third, and fourth innings. Here's Dennis Mincy, who struck out with runners at second and third, and nobody down in the second inning. Borbon, a right-hander, goes back to work in the bullpen. Mincy takes a fastball riding in on him for a strike. The bullpen here in Cincinnati is very close to the end of the dugout. Ordinarily in Major League Park, there's a special bench for the pitchers. They sit in the regular dugout here. Mincy looking bad on a curve. Misses. Strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out and a man on. There's the hard slider that Hunter uses for a waste pitch once in a while. It's outside and low, ball 1. Hunter doesn't really pitch around batters too often with an 0-2 count. He goes right after him. Pitch to Mincy is a fastball right over the middle. It's foul back. Bucky Anderson hoping to get down to the pitcher's spot in the batting order, and he'll have somebody ready to go if he does. Here's the pitch. Mincy fouls it off. Looks that time as if he were trying to go to right field. The ball was out away from him a little bit. Mincy came up in the major leagues as a shortstop. He's moved over and has done a great job at third for Cincinnati. Here's the pitch. Foul ball down the left field line. Hunter hung a breaking ball to him that time, and Mincy went out after it with a vengeance. He can hit the ball out. He had 9 home runs this year. And with a .233 batting average, 60 runs batted in, batting where he is in the order of Cincinnati is quite an impressive statistic. arm pitch by Hunter. First time in the game he's dropped down there, and he missed it outside. Ball 3. Makes that 2 balls, 2 strikes. He comes to the plate again. A ground ball hits her short. Campaneris has got it down to second. They got him there. Over to first. Got a pair as Epstein dug it out of the dirt. Empty Campaneris hesitated a little bit on his throw, and it might have been because Dick Green was playing so deep he had to wait on him to get there at second base. So there are 2 down with nobody on, and Geronimo comes up. A's players, Jim, I think there's no doubt about it. They have really been shaky on all double play tries here on this artificial turf.
Well, Monty, you got to consider that, and you also have to consider that if the A's do win this game and go back to familiar territory with a 2-game lead, it's a different ballgame, isn't it?
Here's Geronimo up now, batting left-handed, and he drags one to the first base side hard. Mike Epstein has got it. Hunter gets out of the inning, and the A's have gone through 4 here in Cincinnati, leading the Reds 2-0.
In last night's National Basketball Association games, the New York Knicks defeated the NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers handily, 125-100. The Boston Celtics whipped the Chicago Bulls 96-88. Houston beat Buffalo 121-113. Kansas City Omaha won its home opener 113-101 over the Detroit Pistons. Phoenix beat Portland 124-120. And the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Golden State Warriors 81-77. Dan Issel and Artis Gilmore combined for 55 points to lead defending Eastern Division champion Kentucky to a 130-110 rout over the Virginia Squires in their American Basketball Association home opener. In other ABA games, Carolina trounced New York 126-78. Utah defeated Dallas 106-90. San Diego won over Memphis 135-118. And Denver defeated Indiana 96-90. In pro football this afternoon, New York Jets 7, New England nothing. Houston 7, Pittsburgh nothing. That's at the end of the first quarter. And a surprise, Miami-San Diego 3-3 at the end of one quarter.
Along with Monty Moore, Jim Simpson back at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, on a brilliantly sunshiny afternoon. The temperature now climbing towards 60 degrees. The Reds fans, more than 52,000 of them, a little shell-shocked. They lost here yesterday 3-2, and they're losing now 2-0. And some of their big men have gone quiet. As we go to the top of the 5th, the A's will lead off with their pitcher, Catfish Hunter. Normally, of course, as we always point out, that this is something the opposing pitcher normally likes, because the opposing pitcher at bat is normally an automatic out. Catfish Hunter is the best hitter. He's hit now safely in 11 of his last 13 games that he has pitched. And Catfish, with a single in the second inning, drove in one of the 2 A's runs this afternoon. Grimsley's ready. Bullpen stays busy with Don Gullis, scheduled to pitch the game on Tuesday, out there warming up. Sparky Anderson may be loosening him up. Sparky Anderson may be saying we can't go out to the coast. 2 down. Here's a pitch to Jim Hunter, and it's low and away, ball 1. Yes, World Series managers often make statements and make changes very shortly thereafter, because it is just a 7-game series. Pitch to Hunter is outside a ball. Yesterday, for instance, the World Series, the Oakland A's skipper, Dick Williams, had his 8th short reliever, Rollie Fingers, up very early in that game. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Hunter takes one right down the middle, called strike. One of the very little touched upon highlights of this game yesterday by the press across the country was the job that Rollie Fingers did coming in relief. Pitch to Hunter, banged sharply towards second baseman Joe Morgan. Over to first, 1 down. Now here's the shortstop, Bert Campaneris, who has had 3 hits in the series now. 2 hits yesterday and 1 today. Campaneris told a reporter yesterday after the game, yes, I see signs hanging out there once in a while, but I don't read English well enough to know what they're saying. Ross Grimsley looks into Johnny Bench, peering past the batter, Campaneris, who fakes the bunt and takes it high for a ball. Yesterday's game, the speed of both clubs, which was much written about aspects of these two teams coming into the World Series, was shot down on stealing attempts 4 times. Campaneris hits one up in the air into right center field. Nolan moving over from one way, Geronimo from the other, and the right fielder, Geronimo, makes the catch. There are 2 outs. Grimsley now has retired 7 in a row since Rudi's home run. Here's Matty Alou. He's grounded out twice in this game to the third baseman.
looking for his first World Series hit of this year. The left-handed batter, the smallest of the three Alou brothers who play in the major league. Matty was saying today that he felt kind of strange being here. He said as long as he was with the Cardinals up until late August, he was pulling for his brother's team, the New York Yankees, to get into the World Series from the American League. And he said, boy, how things can change. One strike down on him, the pitch. Curveball hit sharply to the shortstop. Haney down, up going to first, and the third Perez digs it out. And we've gone through half the ball game here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. The score, the Oakland A's 2, the Cincinnati Reds nothing.
Now this message on behalf of the Survivors Benefit Plan for servicemen. Military members can now provide an automatic survivor income of up to 55% of retired pay to widows and dependent children. The Survivor Benefit Plan, SBP as it's called, also allows persons retired to provide on a voluntary basis the same protection to their families. The program includes members of the reserve components of the Army National Guard and Air National Guard, with participation starting at age 60 when retired pay starts. The government pays a substantial part of the cost of the new SBP, making reductions in a retiree's pay smaller for the amount of family protection gained. If you're a career member of the Armed Forces right now, find out about the new benefits available to your family through the Survivor Benefit Plan. It's a way to buy time. Time to get your family off on a good start. Time to finish the job that you may not be able to finish yourself. The Survivor Benefit Plan is another reason why a career in the Armed Forces is a good deal.
As we go to the last half of the fifth inning of game number 2 of the 1972 World Series, here is NBC's Jim Simpson.
Thanks, Monty Moore. Harold Cheney will lead it off, and then Ted Eulander is out on deck and will bat for Ross Grimsley, who will depart. As the Reds find themselves in need of runs. They are down 2-0 as we start the last of the fifth. Cheney was walked intentionally to load the bases to get at Grimsley back in the second, and Grimsley struck out. This time he lines the ball to left center field, charging as Hendrick, and takes it. As Monty says, the A's called him Easy George, and he really eased over there on a pretty well-hit ball. Grimsley is gone. As we said, Eulander was up yesterday one time as a pinch hitter and struck out. Well, Grimsley worked 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 6 hits, struck out 1, and walked nobody. Eulander, former American leaguer. The Reds looking for some runs. Catfish Hunter has driven in 1 run for Oakland. That was in the second. And then Joe Rudi homered in the third, and they're the runs for the ballgame. The Reds have had their opportunity. Eulander, left-handed batter, facing the right-handed Hunter, puts one up the alley over quickly as Joe Rudi, and it's over top touch glove. Eulander loses his helmet as he goes around to second base with a pinch hit double. Hit off Catfish Hunter, and with 1 out, Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose comes up. Rose is 1 for 2. Last time up, he lined the first pitch for a single to center field. The Reds are down 2-0. There's been absolutely no activity at all today in the A's bullpen, regardless of the trouble that Hunter has been in, and he's been in a little, whereas the Reds bullpen has been busy from the beginning. A's 2, Reds nothing. Rose, the switch hitter, batting left-handed. Eulander down at second base with 1 out in the fifth inning. Breaking pitch, he lifted high to right field, and Matty Alou is there. Eulander's not going back to tag up. Now simply runs back, and there are 2 outs. Rose swinging at the first pitch again, and now Joe Morgan. And Morgan has been fooled very badly by Catfish Hunter in his first 2 times at bat. He curved him for the second strike in the first inning and then blew a fastball right by him, and Morgan struck out swinging. In the third inning, he popped up to the catcher Kenneth in foul territory. So Morgan, who led the major leagues in runs scored with 122, hit 16 home runs himself and drove in 73. Left-handed batter, Reds feel that he or Bench will be the MVP. Hunter throws, it's fouled off. Strike 1 to Joe Morgan. Reggie Jackson, out injured, we notice is not using crutches today, but rather a cane. And now, as we look, he is standing with a bat in his hand in civilian clothes down in the Oakland dugout. Reggie missing. Here's the strike 1 pitch, breaking ball. Epstein gets himself in front of it at first base, now loses it. At the ball, lost it from his glove. As he started for the bag, it would have been an easy out. Instead, over to third base goes Eulander, and Morgan is safe on the error. Now stepping in is the man I was talking to Monty before the game. I believe is the key man in the Cincinnati lineup today. Now, I know Johnny Bench is the man who led the league in home runs and RBIs, but he is right-handed, and Catfish Hunter can afford to do a little fooling with him. But Bobby Tolan, a left-hander, a good hitter, will be up a lot with men on base, and there goes the runner to second base. Swing foul tipped off the mask of Gene Tenet. They had Morgan, who stole 58 bases, on his way to second, hoping that Tolan could rip a single and perhaps score both of them and tie this game up. Jim, you know something I've seen in the Cincinnati ball club in this series a lot of. With those good runners over at first base, their batters swing at that first pitch a lot even. With the pitcher up the other day and Geronimo trying to steal 3 straight times, they had that pitcher was swinging, which indicates, of course, those guys go on their own. And, of course, going to run another way. There are many batters around both leagues, Monty, that don't like anybody running while they're trying to take a good rip at the ball because, for some, it destroys their concentration. 1 strike to Tolan, the left-hander, going against the right-hander Hunter. 2 are out. Eulander at third. Morgan, he was running at first. He's got 1 foot on the dirt, the other on the carpet at first base. Running last time, Hunter in the set. There goes Morgan again. The pitch, strike. Throw down to third base and back quickly Eulander. They just gave Morgan second base on the stolen base. No attempt there. They're just making sure they could hold Eulander. And now, Jim Hunter has got Tolan down 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes. Both were swinging strikes. Reds fans, the Reds themselves feel here in the 5th inning, this is a big opportunity. Base hit could tie it up. Foul to the screen on the fastball. Still 2 strikes. Well, the great arms of Johnny Bench, which was superlative yesterday, and Tennis called a pitch out at an opportune time, guessing right to toss the man out at second base. The ball clubs have not altered the game plan. They're running ball clubs aggressive, and both are playing that way now. 2 strikes, 2 outs. Then at second and third, a curveball, check swing by Tolan. He fouls it off, picked up by George Sugar, first base coach. The last 6 Cincinnati Reds. Monty was talking about swinging at the first pitch. The last 6 Cincinnati Reds have all swung at the first pitch. Hunter on the mound. They're playing Tolan straight away and deep. Ready with a 2-strike pitch just in under the arms. He lifts him up, but it's an inside pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hunter, as Monty pointed out to you, not overpoweringly fast, great breaking stuff, but he pitches to the spot. Very seldom gets the ball out over the plate. They can get a good cut at it. 1 ball, 2 strikes, comes back with the fastball that is popped up. Campaneris goes back, waves everybody off in a very definite manner, and takes it. And they're out of the inning again. And again, they leave men on base. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and men left at second and third. At the end of 5, it is Oakland 2 and Cincinnati nothing.
Well, Preston Club is looking through the World Series record book, and in the 1920 World Series between Cleveland and Brooklyn, which Cleveland won 5-2, Bill Wamgens, Cleveland second baseman, made the only unassisted triple play of World Series history in the 5th game. With runners on second and first, Clarence Mitchell, the Brooklyn pitcher, hit a sharp line drive to the second baseman, and that was Wambassett. Bill, who was running over to cover his bag, stepped on second base, retiring 1 runner, wheeled around and tagged the other runner who had run down from first. Mitchell had the unfortunate experience of hitting into 5 putouts in his last 2 times at bat, and he later grounded into a double play. Moving from baseball to golf, Tom Weiskopf has scored an easy victory over Lee Trevino to win the Piccadilly World Match Play Golf Championship at Wentworth, England. Weiskopf beat Trevino yesterday, 4-3 in the 36-hole final to win the top prize, $21,250. And now back to Cincinnati in the top half of the 6th inning.
We go to the top half of the 6th inning, and Marky Anderson has gone to the bullpen to bring on a young right-hander by the name of Pedro Borbon. He came in and faced 3 batters yesterday and showing a good overhanded sinker ball. He got 3 batters that he faced to hit the ball into the ground for easy out.
He is 6'2", 185-pounder, and he's from the Dominican Republic. And this year got into 62 games for Cincinnati, had an earned run average of 3.17. Walked 32, struck out 48, which indicates that as a relief pitcher, he just goes in and basically wants them to hit the ball. Every World Series that comes along, if a pitching staff does a good job on another ball club, the man who scouted the team before the World Series started always gets a lot of credit. And Sherm Lawler, one of the great catchers in Chicago White Sox history, a defensive whiz behind that plate, and a man who knows pitching when he sees it, and the manager of the Oakland A's AAA club this year at Des Moines, Iowa, was a man who has been scouting Cincinnati the last week of the season, and from the way the A's pitchers have done so far, he must have done a pretty good job. Now ready for action again here in the sixth, and here's Jeff. Yesterday, Buddy, you were talking about the 3-up, 3-down performance of Borbon. He got Bando Hendrick, and more importantly, he cooled off Tennis, who had hit 2 home runs first 2 times up. And now he is coming in to face Joe Rudi, who singled in the first, and his home run gave the A's their second run of this ball game. That occurred in the third. So it's the 3, 4, 5 batters. Got the sinking fastball pitcher Borbon, a right-hander, must face, and Rudi's trying to punt his way on. Good punter. Bench is declaring that it hit him out of the box and that he should be out. Punt is starting to go down. Anderson is coming down. Now they're looking down the third base umpire, Bob Engel of the National League, and he says that he's safe. In other words, they're claiming that Rudi was hit by a batted ball out of the batter's box in fair territory and should be declared out. Johnny Bench took off his mask with Sparky Anderson very quick out to keep Mr. Bench in the ball game. And for those of you who are keeping score, you will know that when we go to the last of this inning, for an incredible 6th time in 7 times at bat, Johnny Bench will be leading off without a chance to drive and run, barring the home run, for Cincinnati. Borbon, the right-hander, and they're playing Rudi, as Monty's been telling you, around to the right. He does hit to the opposite field, but the last time up with a 1-ball 2-strike count, he pulled his home run high to left. Breaking pitch, one of the few that we've seen Borbon throw, at least in this series and playoff championships, is foul to the right. It's 2 strikes. The man at the plate, Joe Rudi, led the American League with 181 hits. The man out in left field, who fielded his single in the first and watched his home run soar out of here in the third, Pete Rose, led the majors with 198 hits. 2 strikes. It counts to Rudi. Borbon drops down, throws sidearm, but the ball is up high, and it's 1-ball 2 strikes. This Riverfront Stadium is very, very quiet. This is not what the odds makers felt would happen. This is not what the Red fans felt would happen. They dropped the game yesterday. They're losing the game today. 1-ball 2 strikes, another breaking pitch inside the line, and just does get fouled. He was talking to you about how Joe uses a weightlifting program to remain strong all year round, and he hardly said that. And Mr. Rudi showed you some strength when he muscled that home run into the mezzanine section of Riverfront Stadium. Borbon is ready. Rudi back in the box. Right-hander to right-hander. There's the fastball, and it's foul tip. Bench holds on to it, but it's a strikeout. Second Oakland A's who have struck out this afternoon, and here's Mike Epstein. Epstein struck out in the first. He grounded the first in the third. He is 0 for 5 in the series, and he committed an error that could have been costly in the last inning. But Jim Hunter bore down and got the man. And now we have the A's bullpen busy, Monty. Yes, that's Joe Horn, a right-hander, and left-hander Dave Hamilton. It is down low and inside Epstein. 1-0. Borbon is ready and throws, and this is up high, 2-0. Epstein, as we've described to you, came up to the Baltimore organization. He was the minor league player of the year at Rochester. Baltimore traded him away to Washington, where he was exposed to Ted Williams. And he looked over those pitches very carefully. And that's the strike on the outside corner. Epstein likes to key off what he thinks the pitcher has going for him that day. For example, Williams would key off a slice. He could afford to. That was Ted Williams. Epstein likes the period here hitting, and as Monty says, he takes a look at a lot of 3-1. In that bullpen is just sort of a workout session right now. Bob Locker's going out. Holland and Hamilton are sort of the middle inning relievers, and now we are beyond that without them having to work. 3-1 pitch, and Epstein takes the rip, and it's 3 balls, 2 strikes. And the Oakland 6,
Fly to the Bay Area tonight. Tomorrow is an off day. To get over that 3-hour time difference, get a little practice, look at the other ballpark, and then they resume Tuesday evening. Fastball is high and away, and Epstein has drawn the walk.
And we'll have a pinch runner, I believe, right here. This is Dick Williams' procedure during the course of the year, is pinch run for Epstein in the late innings if he gets on, and then go with Mike Keegan on defense at first base. Alan Lewis, the Panamanian Express, a man who is on the roster for the World Series and eligible because Reggie Jackson was injured, goes in to run for Mike Epstein.
Well, you remember, Monty. I remember. Maybe those listening remember. Yesterday, the same thing happened, and Lewis, on the first play, tried to steal second base and was gunned down by Johnny Banks. On the first pitch, I should say, since coming in. First, he was running yesterday for the first time on this nearly fully carpeted, artificially turfed infield. And now they check Lewis over at first base. 102 bases he stole one year in the minor league. 1 out, 2-0 the A's. We're in the top of the sixth, and Oakland's got a man on with 1 out. Breaking pitch, and Bando, the batter, swings and misses. Cal singled in the second inning, erased on the fourth play, and grounded to short in the third. He's 1 for 2. Bando led the A's with game-winning hits throughout the season with 16. There's another quick check to first base, but has not driven in or scored a run since the regular season ended and the playoffs in the World Series began. Bando can hit home runs. He had 15 of them. High inside pitch, but he goes for it, and that's strike 2. A key as we look at Pedro Borbon today, Monty, is the fact that he is a sinking fastball pitcher, and he's not getting the ball down low.
He's made the one good pitch to Bando that was low, and it was a breaking ball or sinker, but it was down. But everything else has been up, Jim. And as you're saying, those sinker ball pitchers can be hit hard when that happens.
Nobody now in the Cincinnati bullpen. Anderson looking on from the dugout. The word is when Johnny Bench, the catcher, should happen to look toward the dugout while in his crouch. That means he feels that the pitcher has no longer got it, and his manager, Sparky Anderson, should get somebody ready. 2 strikes now. Lewis not going. Pitch stays high, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That little conference bench had with his pitcher might have been as a result of a scouting report. Both Campaneris and Lewis like to run a lot on no balls, 2 strikes, which is unusual for base stealers, but they both like to do that.
1-2. Lewis has both feet in the dirt area around first base. Not a big lead at all. Borbon is taking a long look, and there goes Lewis, and there's a swing, a throw by Bench down to second base. They've got him at second base. Bando strikes out into a double play, and Bench has put out yet another runner. No runs, no hits, no errors. In fact, the bench is on. Nobody left on base. We go to the last of the 6th. It's Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing.
Let's up. Elsewhere at the half, Pittsburgh leading Houston by a score of 10-0 at the half. The Bears 7, Cleveland nothing.
Well, Johnny Bench, another incredible throw. That was a low breaking ball out away from Sal Bando, and Alan Lewis got a tremendous jump off first base. Johnny Bench just overpowered him with another straight throw to second. Here we go to the last half of the 6th. It's still 2-0 Oakland. Jim?
And for the 6th time in his 7 at-bats in this World Series, Johnny Bench leads off an inning. Nobody on the bases ahead of him to drive in for the Cincinnati Reds. 2-0 to score, Catfish Hunter, and we have a substitution down at first base, of course. Bench looks to punt his way on, but punts it foul toward Alex Grammer. And that is that Mike Keegan, fine defensive first baseman, has come in. Well, that shows you how having Bench lead off can change the ball game around. Instead of a man who has hit 40 home runs during the regular season, and then the game-time home run in the last of the match of the final game of the National League Championship, led the majors in RBIs, he can't swing away to drive and runs because he's leading off. So Bench is trying to punt his way on so somebody else can drive him in. In the first, he singled. In the third, he sent Hendricks very deep in center field. Swinging on the 3-1 pitch. Strike 1, the count. Fastball is popped up, foul. Coming back is Tennis looking up, now gives up on the ball as it falls in the seats behind home plate. 2 strikes to Bench.
Funny sidelight, when Bench bunted, then Reggie Jackson came up off the bench down at the far end and yelled out on the field at Tony Perez, the on-deck batter, and said, "What's going on?" Look, Jackson's still talking to him out there. What's he doing bunting, he said.
Well, the Reds need some runs. They have not had too many. Bench has scored both of them. Up high. With the pitch, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Catfish Hunter, 21-7 on the season, back, and he drops downside on with a breaking pitch outside. Bench holds up on it, and he started the swing. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's about the second time today that we have seen Hunter drop down to the right side. Funny thing, you know, when you see a left-hander up there, you'll see that first base coach back down the line a little bit, feeling that somebody's liable to pull one foul. Bench is up there, and Sugar's still down. Bench is a right-handed starter. That breaking pitch is down low, and now it's on 3-2. Bench got a 2-strike single in the second, had a 3-1 in the third, and now he's up to 3-2. Hunter working very carefully on it. Hunter has walked 2 men, one of those intentionally. There's into Gene Kennett. Has the sign and is ready to throw, and throws the fastball that just misses outside. It's ball 4. Bench is on. And that'll bring up Tony Perez. So Jim Hunter has not been able to retire today. A walk in the second and a single in the fourth. And as Monty pointed out, this is the man that beat Catfish Hunter 1966 Anaheim in the All-Star game with an extra inning home run. 2 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the A's, none of which is hurt. The Reds are 0-4-0. Fastball is high and inside. Whoops, catches the inside corner, and the fans go with Jim Harnett to tell him they didn't think it was a strike, but it was. Strike 1 to Perez. Hunter backs off the mound. Gillett was out warming up. Now Rollie Fingers, white of blue, is up and going down to the bullpen again. Breaking pitch just misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. White of blue has been quite a conversationalist here. He said he wants to strike. But I would imagine the Oakland A's staff is wanting, should we start him? He was something in the final game of the playoffs, and he was something else again yesterday. He's a valuable man to have around, and if they can use him to nail down this second victory, I wouldn't be surprised. 1 ball, 1 strike, and Perez is swinging at a breaking pitch. It's 1-2. This is the second World Series for Mike Keegan down at first base in 1964 with the Yankees. He was in the World Series. And his dad, Jim Hegan, was in the World Series with Cleveland in 48 and 54. So father and son have done well. 1 ball, 2 strikes. This is fouled off to the right. A number that'll go about 15 and 20 rows back at first base. Last of the 6th. The Reds going right to the heart of their lineup. Bench, Perez, and Menke, the 4, 5, 6 hitters. They have scored 2 runs in 2 days. Both of those scored by Bench, who is on at first base right now. Hunter's ready with a new baseball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Foul tip by Perez, getting the good swing at a high pitch. 1-2. McLean Perez straight away and very deep. Tony hit 21 home runs, drove in 90 during the regular season. 1-2. Hunter's ahead of him. Throws him breaking pitch. Bounces down the Bando. He goes to second base. Green comes back to first base. Safe at first base. 1 out. Bench forced at second base. And that'll bring up Dennis Menke, who has had his problems today. Struck out swinging on a high fastball in the second and bounced into a double play in the fourth. He is 0 for 5 in this series. Menke, like Perez and Bench before him, a right-handed batter. The Reds lineup goes Rose, Morgan, and Tolan all swinging from the left side. Then you get the 3 right-handers, and then you go back to the left side again, Geronimo and Caney. Hunter waits and throws. Ball is popped up foul. It'll make it in the seats behind home plate. Well, Jack Dillingham was the early choice to go ahead and pitch the 3rd game of the World Series on Tuesday night. Then we heard that Sparky Anderson might be going with Don Gullett. Gullett was down and warming up. A little while ago, it might have been that he was just loosening up. Or we'll say Dillingham or Gullett for Tuesday. It'll be Blue Moon Odom for the A's on Tuesday. Dave Concepcion is going down now to loosen up a little bit. In the bullpen, pitch just misses. 1 ball, 1 strike to Menke. Geronimo swinging with that on deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. Accidentally hit. Hunter off the mound. Picks it up bare hand. Throws to first. Fine play. As down to second base goes Perez. That was a check swing. And it was just like a perfectly placed bunt between the mound and third base. And Catfish Hunter, Monty, showed me he can field that position.
He's one of the finest athletes the A's have. It's amazing the ability to field the position that the A's entire pitching staff has. I think John Odom might be one of the finest fielding pitchers to play the game since Bobby Chance of the old days. And Catfish Hunter can do it all, too. That was just an incredible play right there, and I don't believe Bando would have been able to get in there and make the play.
Geronimo has struck out swinging and grounded to Epstein at first base. Bando has gone down to say something to Hunter. Keegan and Green are talking halfway between first and second and halfway out on right field to where they have to play there. And Geronimo, the left-handed batter, steps in. A's lead it 2-0. Reds trying to get something to go. They don't want to leave for the West Coast and Oakland and the home park of Oakland down 0-2 in the World Series. Hunter ready and throws a breaking pitch. It's down low. And it's ball 1 to Geronimo. Out in left field called the Pirates a lot of trouble. Joe Rudi's out there in left field now. Reds are used to it in the late afternoon. The sun's right in their face. There's the ball hit high to right center field. Lou and Hendrick are after it. Hendrick says, I've got it. And right center field puts it away. And again, the Reds go down. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left. Perez at second base. At the end of 6, the A's lead the Reds 2-0.
His Oakland teammates figure he originally was baptized Fiore Kenichi. It comes out Fury Mike Tennis now, and although the A's mustached milky white complexioned receiver goes by his middle name and has more or less dropped the Fury, he still hits that way occasionally. I think he's going to be one of the greatest hitting catches there is, said Oakland owner Charles Finley Saturday. Another Ernie Lombardi. Gene Tennis is not yet anyway. But he did what no other major leaguer ever did before in Saturday's 3-2 opening game win over Cincinnati when he ripped home runs in his very first 2 times up in a World Series. I had no idea about that at all, said Tennis, who pronounces his name Tennis, as in Tennis, and who celebrated his 26th birthday only 4 days ago. Tennis's grandfather migrated from Italy to the United States, worked in western Pennsylvania coal mines, and died in them. His father also worked in the mines 9 years and then got out. His son, near Pittsburgh, rooted for the Yankees as a boy, and chiefly because he liked pinstripes, and Butler had a Yankee farm club. Right now, let's pause for station identification. This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
This is SCN Radio, the voice of information in the Canal Zone, at 790 and 1420.
Charlie Durkee. The score now, New Orleans 14, Atlanta nothing. In the first period at St. Louis, Curt Knight has kicked a 30-yard field goal for the Washington Redskins. And in the first period, the Skins leading the Cardinals 3-0.
This is Monty Moore with Jim Simpson. 7th inning, second game of the World Series. Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing. Here's Jim. George Hendrick swings at the first pitch. Foul tips at strike 1. Facing Pedro Borbon. Hendrick, technically 0 for 2, bounced into a force play, but scored the first run ahead of the single of Catfish Hunter. And then chopped one back to Grimsley, the first baseman, in the 4th inning. Pitch is low, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Borbon in relief of Ross Grimsley, who started and went the first 5 innings and gave up both runs, including the home run to Rudi. Foul back. Above our heads, above the press box. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Hendrick. Well, we were telling you yesterday that the team that won the first game of the World Series 40 times and 68 tries went on to win the series. Pretty soon we'll be dragging out possibly those statistics that say, if you win the first 2, what happens? Fly ball, right field. Geronimo comes in and one-hands it for the out. That'll bring up Gene Tennis. 2 home runs yesterday. He is 0 for 2 today. 53,224, which beats the old record set here yesterday of 52,918, and they set a new attendance record in Cincinnati. Borbon throws a breaking pitch that Tennis fouls at the plate. 1 strike. Well, without Reggie Jackson, You just wonder how many runs the Oakland A's can score. Answer is, thus far, they have scored enough. Scored 3 yesterday, and 2 thus far today. They're leading this one 2-0 after winning yesterday's opener 3-2. Dennis with those 2 home runs. Borbon with a 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. It's strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now there's more than one player in history has hit 2 home runs in a World Series game. Dennis is the first to hit 2 home runs in the first 2 times at bat. I bring this up again because our colleague on NBC television, Tony Kubek, as a Yankee, hit 2 home runs. There's a swing and a miss at a pitch outside. He couldn't hold up on it and kind of strikes out. And he hits 2 home runs with the Yankees. 2 out now in the Oakland 7th. And Dick Green is the scheduled hitter and is up there. Cincinnati has not scored in the last 11 innings. And there's the strike to Green. The only 2 runs the Reds have scored in this series were on infield forced out plays at second base. Nobody has driven them in with a base hit. Strike 1 the pitch to Green, and he swings and misses. Strike 2. 1 for 2 to Green today. Singled in the second to keep the rally alive with 2 outs and fly to right in the 4th. Borbon has been most effective in this series as he was in the playoffs. Strike 3, Green looks at it, and Borbon has struck out 4 of the men that he has faced in the last 2 innings. A run, hit to error. We go to the last of the 7th. Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing.
Through the first 6.5 innings, it's Oakland 2 runs, 6 hits. They've made a couple of errors. The Reds, no runs, 4 hits, and no errors. Have to go all the way back to 1933, Jim, to find a pitcher with the same consistency of the Catfish Hunter. That's the last time that a pitcher won 20 games 2 years in a row, and that pitcher was one Lefty Grove, who was just finishing up on a 7-year streak of 20 wins. Dale Cheney leads it off in the 7th inning. Hunter ready and throws for a strike on the outside corner. Joe Haig is on deck as a relief pitcher, or rather a pinch hitter for the relief pitcher, Pedro Borbon. Haig was on deck yesterday but never got into the game. Back with the breaking pitch. It's too high to Cheney. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Borbon works a very effective 2 innings. He walked 1, but he struck out 4. And Tom Hall, the Blazer, is up in the bullpen for Cincinnati. Cheney swings, fouls this one off into the seats to the left, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hall, who had an amazing 10-1 record with Cincinnati, will be the next pitcher apparently, as he has now begun to warm up. 1-2, Hunter throws, fly ball. Short left field, Rudi glasses down, coming on now. Campanellis gives way, and Rudi has it for the first out of the Cincinnati 7th. And now Joe Haig is the batter. Haig, former Cardinal, and as we said, was out on deck yesterday, but failed to get in. Joe hit 246 combined average between the Cardinals and here. Turns around and is looking as now stepping in. He is Haig. He was talking to Honachik about something, and umpire Honachik was checking his card. And now Hunter's ready and throws outside ball 1. He Rose is on deck in this 2-0 ball game, which Oakland leads. Hunter, sun still shining, throws the ball that is fouled back toward us in the press box, and it's 1-1. Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong, Monty. You got to get him early, am I right? Yes, that's been the case the last couple of months, and when he gets going like this, his control just gets nearly perfect.
1-1, breaking pitch, and drops right over for a strike, and Haig just shakes his head. Not in disagreement, perhaps in disbelief. He thought the pitch would stay outside, but curve broke over the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hunter's been ahead of nearly everybody now, with a notable exception of Johnny Banks. This pitch is outside. It's 2-2. All continues to on. No activity at all in the Oakland bullpen. For a while, there was some activity that involved, among others, Bob Locker, Rollie Fingers, and White Blue. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Hunter. Breaking pitch, and it's lifted high into right field. Badialou in the shade out there now vectors into the sunlight and takes it for the second out. 2 out now in the 7th, and Pete Rose, 1 for 3, is up. Rose swung on a 1-0 pitch in the first. The last 2 times up, he has swung at the first pitch. Joe Morgan on deck. Rose steps in. Tennis signals his outfielders that there are 2 away. Fastball is right down the middle, strike 1. Campaneris is in short left field, very deep, and Dick Green is almost in right field, very deep. Epstein not as deep behind first base on this carpeted infield, and there's another strike for the breaking pitch. 0-2. I said Epstein, I mean Keegan, of course, at first base. Mike departed. Hunter shakes off one sign, takes the next, and the 2-strike pitch is way outside with the fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We are in top coats here this afternoon. Those of the sunshine, I imagine, can take them off, but temperature game time is 51 and climbing. Not expected to get past 60. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Standing in on the 5th, and he nubs it foul over the A's dugout down the third baseline. Still 1-2 to Pete Rose. Rose was 0 for 4 yesterday. He is 1 for 3 today. 1 for 7 in the series, plus a walk. Scored 107 runs during the regular season, but has not scored yet in the World Series. Breaking pitch outside to him, 2-2. Morgan, who led the majors with 122 runs during the regular season, has not scored. And therein lies the key to getting the Reds, if you can. Keep Rose, Morgan, and Tolan off those bases and keep Johnny Bench away from having a chance to drive them in. Thus far, they've been successful. 2-2 the pitch. He strikes out swinging. A 1-2-3 inning for Catfish Hunter. At the end of 7, Oakland leads Cincinnati 2-0.
Well, before this series even started, Reds manager Sparky Anderson liked the looks of the Oakland A's. But he liked the looks of his Reds even better. Oakland has an outstanding club, Anderson was heard to say while watching Oakland win the American League pennant on television from his office in Cincinnati. They definitely have a lot of talent, he said. They are far and away the best club in that league. Our scouting reports indicate they have excellent pitching, and they have a lot of young, powerful hitters. But according to Sparky, Oakland isn't the best in baseball. This team, meeting the Reds, is the greatest, he said. We have everything a great team must have: power, speed, good defense, and tough pitching. Reds team captain Pete Rose saw one facet of the Oakland attack which he thought might work in Cincinnati's favor. Oakland has a lot of right-handed pitchers, he pointed out. This should help our batters. We do well against right-handers. But thus far, in games number 1 and 2, the left-handers and the right-handers have thus far almost completely stymied Cincinnati's hitting and their power. Let's go back.
The scoring in this ball game, which right now is Oakland leading 2-0, came this way. The A's scored first in the second inning. Sal Bando led off with a single. George Hendrick hit a bounce on the infield that the Reds just missed a double play on. That left Hendrick on at first base after Tennis flying out to left. Dick Green got a base hit, moving Hendrick to second base from where he scored on Catfish Hunter's base hit to left field. The A's got another hit in the inning by Campaneris, but Dick Green was thrown out at the plate by Pedro to Johnny Bench. The A's got their other run in a lightning-like swing of the bat by Joe Rudi, a home run in the third inning. Cincinnati has had only 4 base hits, and they've been well scattered. Hunter has not allowed more than 1 hit in any inning. Hunter's been super sharp throughout the playoffs in 15 innings and 2 appearances against the Detroit Tigers. A very fine offensive team. He allowed only 2 runs. Now the new pitcher for Cincinnati is left-hander Tom Hall. They call him the Blaze, a little guy, a 6-footer, but he weighs only 150. An incredible record this year for Cincinnati. Tommy won 10, lost only 1, and had 8 saves. He struck out 134 batters in just 124 innings. Jim? Catfish Hunter, with his single in the second, drove in the first run of the ball game, as Monty just said, and then he grounded to second in the 5th. Up for the third time, 1 for 2. Tom Hall, tall, very thin left-hander, stares in, now ready. He's got the good curve as well as the fastball and throws in the breaking pitch, strike 1. Today's crowd, 53,224. That makes a 2-day total of 106,142 and in. Cincinnati can come on and extend this thing, and they come back here next weekend all All seats for Game 6 and 7 are already sold out. The one-strike pitch swung on, fouled off. There will be some standing room only seats that go on sale as they have been for each morning here, yesterday and again today. Early as 7 o'clock this morning, people were on the way to get standing room only seats here at Riverfront Stadium. Hunter with a count of 2 strikes to it. Ready to throw. Up high with a pitch. Bench came up off his knees to grab that one. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Reds had 2 runs on 7 hits yesterday. Thus far today, they had no runs on just 4 hits. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And I think that the Oakland lead, here's the ball hit to the right side, is reflected by the quietness of the crowd. Perez backs up. He's in fair territory behind first base and has the pop-up of Hunter. That'll bring up Capillaris, grounded out in the first, singled in the second, and fly to right in the 5th. There has not been a hit off Catfish Hunter. There's not been a hit by the Oakland A's since the home run by Joe Rudi back in the 3rd inning. They had 1 man on with a walk, and that's been it. Ready to throw to Capillaris, and it's down low, ball 1. But nearly the same thing happened in yesterday's game. After the home run by Kenneth, which is the first hit since the 3rd inning, they didn't come close again to getting a hit. They scored early and made it stand up. Capillaris ran up on the bat that time, but the pitch is low and away, and it's 2-0. This is the one man that Tom Hall does not want on base. Capillaris being gunned down by the throw of Johnny Bench yesterday. He's thrown out 3 players thus far in this World Series. Would love to test him again. There's a called strike. 2 balls, 1 strike. Capillaris trying to work his way on. Matty Alou, left-handed batter, will be the next to face Tom Hall. 2-1 pitch. Popped up again to the right side toward the Cincinnati dugout. Perez comes over and watches it drift in the seats about 3 rows back behind the Cincinnati dugout. 2-2. A's have committed 2 errors of field this afternoon, but neither has hurt them. They have 6 hits for their 2 runs, including a home run. This infield of the Cincinnati Reds the last 2 years in a row has led the National League in fewest errors. It is a fine defensive unit. All is ready and throws the 2-2 pitch. It's lined out to right center field. Colin is over and takes it on the run. Second out of the Oakland A's. That'll bring up Matty Alou, who has beat the ball into the ground 3 times today. Twice been thrown out by Menke, and the last time up Cheney threw him out. Alou is a good fastball hitter, and I would imagine coming from the left side as Tom Hall does, and he's got that good curveball. Matty's not going to see much of the fastball this time up. 2 out. Stands well back in the box now, away from the plate. And there's the breaking pitch for a strike. Strike 1 to Alou. Menke has moved in some, as he always does on Alou. He likes to get on any way he can, and facing a man like Hall, he might be trying to punt his way on there, and look, at this pitch, he goes high and away from him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Perez is in, close at first base. Not fearing the vicious line shot by Alou that might get past him, but didn't want him to beat anything out down that way. Another breaking pitch, but it misses, and it's 2-1. 2 out on the Oakland A's. We are in Cincinnati for the 2nd game. Tomorrow's the travel day. We resume with as many night games as are needed to solve this series, to settle it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Down low, ball scoots between the legs of both Bench and the umpire Hana kicks. Bench picks it up, and it is 3-1 to Alou, who looks down to Irv Norton, the third base coach. On deck, having a great day, is Joe Rudi. He's 2 for 3, including a home run that accounted for the 2nd Oakland run. All is ready, and throws the breaking pitch that has him looking all the way, and it's 3 balls, 2 strikes. On the 3-1 pitch, Hall, good curveball, did not hesitate to use it. Got it in the strike zone, it's 3-2. Hall comes back and throws the breaking pitch. Alou lines it down the right field line and is drifting into the seats foul. Right behind the bullpen mound of the Cincinnati Reds. Still 3-2. So Hall again threw Alou a breaking pitch. But Matty was too far out in front of him. Claus, as the ball was retrieved and given to someone in the seat, just slipped up there. 3-2. Already comes back this time with a breaking pitch, and it's fouled at the plate, behind the plate. And Alou steps up. Looking ahead to the Cincinnati 8, Joe Morgan, Bobby Tolan, and Johnny Bench. In this 2-0 ball game. Alou still battling Tom Hall, the Blade, who throws the fastball this time, line drive, and it's a base hit. Well, they couldn't get Matty Alou with the breaking stuff, and he fouled a couple off, and they came in with the fastball, and Matty Alou, a fine fastball hitter, just lined that ball to right field. Base hit with 2 out, and here's Joe Rudi. Single on the first pitch, and the first was down, a 1-2 count to Ross Grimsley in the third, and powered one into the mezzanine in left field. That was the second run. He struck out swinging at a fastball in the 6th inning. Thrown by Pedro Borbon. He got his 2 hits off the starter Ross Grimsley. Rudi, right-hander against the left-hander Tom Hall. Swing, fouls it off. This game will wind up as the 400th World Series game. This is really going back in the history books to be played to a decision. The point is there have been 3 World Series games that have resulted in ties. Strike one to count. Hall checks the runner. Alou at first base and throws and catches the outside corner. Joe Rudi says no to Jim Honachek, but it's 0-2. And Rudi backs out. The shadows now have extended out past the first base line. They've been out beyond the right field line all afternoon, but now it sneaks across the first base line and is edging toward the pitcher's mound. That'll make it increasingly difficult as the afternoon goes on to pick up the ball off the bat out there in left field. 2-strike pitch. Breaking pitch down low and away, and it's 1-2. Tom Hall picked up in the deals of Minnesota. One of the many deals that Bob Housen made in changing around the 1971 Cincinnati team that did not produce after its pennant of 1970. Of course, the bigger traders, Joe Morgan, brought here when Lee May and Tommy Helms went. Foul at the plate by Rudi, 1-2. Geronimo was also in that Houston trade, and Tom Hall coming down from Minnesota was a big plus also. 1-2. Can't get over it, Marty. This Riverfront Stadium is nearly quiet. The loudest noise you hear is a plane flying overhead. The Reds are down 2-0. Rudi with that closed set. Hits to right. Ready. There goes the runner. And the pitch is high. Bench goes down, and there's the stolen base. Alou. Now, as so often happens, Bench is upset, not with himself. Hall simply forgot that Alou was there. And he's a left-handed pitcher to boot. There's a big argument around the National League. Which is the better catcher, Johnny Bench or Manny Sanguillen? Lou Brock, who led the National League in base stealing, said, I have a tougher time against Sanguillen. People said, what? He on the bench? And he said, that doesn't have anything to do with it. The Pittsburgh staff does a better job of keeping us close to the first base. And Hall simply forgot Alou, who is now down in scoring territory, and that's the first time that they've been able to steal on bench. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch is high and inside to Rudi. And now with 2 out, it is 3-2 to Rudi in this 2-0 ball game. Jim, I would imagine that with a catcher the stature of Johnny Bench, the pitching staff might tend to be a little relaxed and say, Johnny will get him. I don't have to worry that much about it. 3-2, but Brock, as I said, Monty prefers to steal on bench only because he can get a bigger jump. And most bases really are stolen on the pitcher, not the catcher. Here's the pitch, ball 4. Rudi draws the walk. And that means now that we're having Mike Egan. And Mike Egan is the story. And Monty, you follow the A's, and you know the story about the kind of year Mike has had this season.
He's a utility man, a very fine defensive first baseman, and a left-handed pinch hitter. And this year hit over 330 for Oakland. He's just been a super athlete for Oakland, a great attitude, and they used him every way possible.
5 Right, to lose down at second. Rudi on the first. Hegan is a left-hander facing left-hander Hall and swings through the first pitch. It's strike one. Hall took something off that first delivery to Hegan. There's Norrin, third base coach, clapping it up. Scores Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing, and we are in the top of the 8th inning of Game 2 of the World Series in Cincinnati. Oakland won the first game, leads the second. Another breaking pitch for a strike to Hegan. This time his bat was on his shoulder. It's 0-2. All is very difficult with that breaking pitch. The left-handed batter. He kept giving it to Alou, couldn't get him out, gave him a fastball, and tossed him a base hit. 2 strikes as Tom Hall peers in. Another breaking pitch, and Hegan on 3 pitches goes down swinging. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left. We go to the last of the 8th. The A's lead the Reds 2-0.
Let's update the professional football scoreboard once again for you. At the half, the Miami Dolphins leading the San Diego Chargers 17-3. At the end of one period of play, the Jets over New England 7-0. However, the Jets have picked up 2 more touchdowns. The Patriots 2 field goals in the second quarter, and now the score is at least 21-6 in favor of the Jets. At the half, Pittsburgh with 10 points in the second quarter, leading Houston 10-7. At the half, Philadelphia over Los Angeles 17-3. At the half, it is Chicago leading Cleveland 7-0. And correcting another score, it should be Los Angeles 17-3 over Philadelphia at the half. The Rams leading the Philadelphia Eagles 17-3 at halftime. End of one period of play, Atlanta 14, New Orleans 7. At the end of the first quarter, Washington 3-0 over St. Louis. Later, Minnesota at Denver. Cincinnati will be at Kansas City. Buffalo will be at Oakland. And the New York Giants will be on the West Coast at San Francisco. Monday night, Green Bay being entertained by the Detroit Lions. Right now, let's pause for station identification. This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
Serving you from Fort Clayton and Fort Davis. This is SCN Radio at 790 and 1420.
The Chicago Bears now a 10-0 lead over the Cleveland Browns. That's in the third period. Right now, let's go back to Riverfront Stadium.
Jim Simpson with Montyborn, Cincinnati. Last of the 8th, Joe Morgan. Takes called strike one. He'll be followed by Tolan and Bench. This is Jim Hunter's big inning. If he can keep Morgan and Tolan off the bases before Bench comes up, he'll be on his way. And Morgan pops it up to short left field. Rudi glasses down in that tough sun field, but it's very high, and he's got it. And Hunter has Joe Morgan and has had his number all day. Has got him the strikeout, foul out to the catcher, reached on the mirror, and now left the lazy fly to left. And now Bobby told him he was 0 for 3. He is struck out and popped the Campaneras at short twice. This is the inning in which Cincinnati is not do or die yet, but this is their big part of the lineup, and there's a breaking pitch to Tolan. He swings through it, strike one. Cincinnati was only shut out here at Riverfront Stadium 4 times in 1972. They're being shut out now. Vida Blue and Rollie Fingers are throwing just in case Hunter needs some help. The A's want to go home with that 2-game lead. Back with the fastball, and he's got Tolan swinging again. The big job for Hunter, for any pitcher against Cincinnati, is get those top 3 men, Rose, Morgan, and Tolan. Out of them all today, Rose has reached once on a base hit, Morgan on an error. That's been it. The 2-strike pitch coming to Tolan, and he just does get a piece of it and fouls it to the screen. 2 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors that cost them nothing for the A's. No runs, 4 hits, no errors. For the Reds, we are in the last of the 8th inning in Game 2. Tolan, bat held high. He's in the shade. Hunter, the pitcher, is in the sun and throws the pitch low and away. Ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Big Johnny Bench. 1 for 2 today. On deck. Tolan wants to reach and allow Bench a chance to tie it at 2 by hitting one out of here. 1-2. The ball is hit to right field. Alou is there. Started in, now backs up and off to his right. And again, Johnny Bench comes to bat with nobody on base. Well, no matter how this World Series turns out, they're going to say that in the first 2 games at least, the Oakland pitching staff did a superb job of keeping men off base with Johnny Bench coming up. And as any Cincinnati Red or their fans will tell you, that is how, if you're to beat the Reds, you will. Bench right-hander swings on the first pitch, strike one. Blue and Fingers continue to warm. Nobody's in the Cincinnati bullpen. 2-0 the score. We are in the last of the eighth. A curveball that is fouled out of play and back at first base. The realization being that if they can retire bench here as they go to the ninth inning, it'll be Perez, Menke, and Geronimo. Again, Catfish Hunter must face 21-7 on the season. He went 15 in the third innings in the playoffs, allowing 2 runs, an earned run average of 1.17 in the playoffs, and he's allowed nothing so far today. Curve is outside. The bench is 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hunter waits. Tennis. His catcher flashes the signal, comes back with a fastball, hits the right center field. Ball carries out there, and back goes the Lou. Warning track near the wall and takes it. It's just another long out, and Bench stops between first and second, realizing that that is the third out of the 8th inning. And at the end of 8, Oakland continues to lead Cincinnati 2-0.
Well, look at action in the National Hockey League on Saturday night. The Montreal Canadiens won their third straight game in the National Hockey League. Well, not their third straight, but picked up their third win, and they have a tie, so they have yet to lose in their first 4 starts. This one a 6-1 win over the New York Rangers. The Chicago Blackhawks did win their 4th straight. They are 4-0, 4-2 over the St. Louis Blues, and the Detroit Red Wings ran their 3rd win in a row, a 5-0 win over Philadelphia. In other NHL games, Pittsburgh beat the California Golden Seals 5-2. Toronto beat Los Angeles 6-4. The Boston Bruins beat the New York Islanders 7-4. Atlanta and Buffalo played to a 1-1 tie, and Minnesota and Vancouver tied at 3-3. Only 2 games in the World Hockey Association Saturday. New York beat Ottawa 8-6. Cleveland beat Alberta 3-2. Young Chris Everett will battle Australia's Kerry Melville Sunday for the top prize in the Virginia Slims tennis tournament at Boca Raton, Florida. Miss Everett gained the finals with a 6-4, 6-2 upset over Billie Jean King on Saturday.
Line scores. We go to the top half of the 9th inning. For Oakland, 2 runs. They've had 7 hits. Made 2 miscues, which didn't cost them. For Cincinnati, no runs, 4 hits, and no errors. Now Bando steps in to face Tommy Hall, and once again, here is Jim Simpson.
All right, Monty. Bando 1 for 3, leadoff single in the 2nd inning. And he's working against Tom Hall and takes high and inside, ball 1. Hall is the 3rd pitcher. Ross Grimsley started it. Gave up the 2 runs. Catfish Hunter, the pitcher, drove in 1 in the 2nd. Rudi's home run in the 3rd was the other. That's the only score today. Hall throws fastball outside. Didn't think he had missed, but Honachik says that's ball 2. 2-0. Leadoff batter Sal Bando. To George Hendricks and Gene Tennis to follow. Ground ball toward the shortstop. Cheney in, gobbles it up, throws on, and Bando running very well. Nevertheless is out by a step or 2. That'll bring up Hendricks. Well, since the World Series has become a 7-game affair, only 5 times in the history of the World Series has the team lost the first 2 and then come back to win. But in every case, the team that won the first 2 did it at home and then had to go on the road for 3 games. Here's Hendricks. So in other words, as there's a strike to Hendricks, no team has ever lost the first 2 at home and then come back to win the World Series. Cincinnati would have to break precedent. Back with a change-up, and it's fouled off and behind home plate and in the seat. Hendricks is 0 for 3 today, but reached on a force play in the 2nd and scored ahead of Hunter's run-scoring single. 2 strikes to Hendricks. Some of this record crowd of 53,224 have started for the exits, although the Reds have a history of coming back. Low inside, Bench gloves it, keeps it in front of him, knocks it down. Anybody that remembers the final game of the playoff championships with the Pittsburgh Pirates would have to stick around. These Reds never give in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. You got to beat them. You're not going to beat themselves. All back throws the fastball line to the right. Morgan playing very deep. Gloves it and throws wide of the bag. Morgan was playing very deep. Had him. Hendrick hustling down there all the way. And Morgan threw wide of the bag. And Hendrick is on. Nichols of the Minneapolis Star. Earl off Dawson of the Cincinnati Toast, Ron Bartman of the Oakland Tribune are the three scorers here, and they have given George Hendrick a base hit. And he'll take it. That's his first major league, or I should say World Series base hit. 0 for 2 yesterday and 0 for 3 before that. 1-0. What's the old cliche baseball? It'll look like a line drive. Base hit in the box score tomorrow. George will take it. All ready to throw to Tennant with a 1-0 count, and now steps off just to keep Hendrick back. Imagine Tom is not thinking that George is going, but wants to keep him close enough to set up a possible double play. Now throws to Tennant. Fly ball, short left field. Rose coming on. Now relaxing under it and has it for the second out. That'll bring up Dick Green. Singled, an important single with 2 out of the second inning. Fly to right in the 4th and looked at a third call strike in the 7th. Oakland leads at 2-0. We are in the top of the 9th. The Reds have one more chance with their 5, 6, 7 batters in the last of this inning. And then win, lose, or draw. Everybody packs up and gets out of here and goes out to the Bay Area to Oakland, California. The series will resume on Tuesday evening at 8:30 Eastern Time. Wherever you are listening around the world, and I forgot to say hello to all of you who are listening in Europe, Far East, Japan, South America, and the tip of the all is ready, fouled, behind home plate, near the Oakland dugout. Bench is over, mask off, but that's going to be in the seats by 4 or 5 rows. 1 strike for Dick Green. They set a record here yesterday in attendance, and they've broken that record today. 53,224. 1 strike to count for Green, right-handed batter. And today, Monty will have to check his book, I'm sure. He followed the A's all year long. When was the last time that one man went all the way at second base for the A's? Not often. Green didn't do it yesterday. Kubiak came in and made 2 important outs in the 9th inning. Fastball, top toward third base, but it's fouled. It'll be gloved by Minky there.
It was during the last series of the year in Kansas City, and they let Dick Green play all the way one night. They let Dal Maxfield play all the way one night and said Kubiak, just so they could all three get a few times at bat.
What kind of streak did that break, Monty? How long had it been since that had happened?
Well, it had been something like 4 or 5 weeks before anybody played all the way, or since.
2 strikes now, still to Dick Green. Swings and a foul tip. Hendrick was dashing towards second base, never slid. And some of the A's have told Monty that they really don't know where to slide on this, with the carpet almost all the way between first and second base. Campaneris had some word for you, did he, Monty?
It particularly bothered him yesterday. He said, I was running along, I just ran out of traction, I didn't know exactly when to hit it. You know, interesting thing about that second base situation, Dal Maxfield started 5 straight games for the A's and never came to bat once. The A's were behind when he came up every time in the second inning, and he just never batted for 5 games.
All right, 2 out on the 9th. Hendrick at first, 2 strikes to Green. All from the set position. Now throws, and Green lines it foul down the line and deep. Out in front of a breaking pitch. Throws it foul and deep. Dick had no home run, 3 RBIs, but because of his back surgery, only came to bat 42 times during the regular season. He was with the ball club for weeks working out before he was finally pronounced fit, okay, and put on the roster. But Dick Williams likes a man like Green in there. He has got team leadership at one time as the captain of the ball club back in the Kansas City days. 2 strikes to Green. Oakland 2, Cincinnati nothing. 9th inning, checks to first base, and it's a high throw, but Perez has no trouble in dragging it down, and Hendrick has no problem in getting back in time. All set again. Green steps in. Another check at first base. Hall has given up 2 base hits. Man has been walked in the 2 innings that he has worked, or 1 2/3 innings that he's worked, and is trying to get out of this so that the Reds can try to come back in the last of the 9th. Throws the pitch, and there's a drive. Base hit into center field. Hendrick comes around, pulled and held up a little bit, perhaps as if to decoy Hendrick, but the play was right in front of George, and he stops at second base. And that brings up Catfish Hunter, and no matter whether you're a Cincinnati fan or Oakland fan, this fella has done quite a job this afternoon. He's allowed 4 hits, and really never been in any real trouble, except in the second inning when an infield hit and a walk put him in trouble, and so what did he do? He struck out the side. Hunter also has driven in one of the 2 runs. He is 1 for 3. All is ready with runners at first and second base. First pitch is ball 1. All set, looks back at Hendrick and throws again. It's up high, and it is quickly 2-0. And Hunter steps out and looks down to Norn, who looks into Dick Williams and says, what do we do now? Tim's going to be interesting to see after the game in the interviews if the story comes out that Hunter has told maybe one time in his major league career about how he gained such good control. He said, I learned to throw well by throwing corn cobs at a hole in a barn in North Carolina. Hertford, North Carolina, back with a pitch outside. Blake Carroll is up and throwing, and now another pitcher goes down to join him, and Bench comes out. Call to the pitcher, Hunter has missed and has not been around the strike zone. It's not been just off the plate. He has thrown 3 high or wide pitches to Catfish Hunter, and it's 3-0. 2 out, 3-0. Let us see whether or not they're giving Catfish the sign to go ahead and swing away on 3-0, or whether he is taking to load the bases and bring up a fellow by the name of Campaneris. Don't you think he'd be taking? He is taking, and he draws ball 4. They have walked, the bases loaded, and Campaneris is coming up. Second walk given up by Hall. Hunter puts on the jacket this chilly afternoon and walks ever so slowly down to first base as Irv Norton drops in to make sure Campaneris knows what they're going to try to do. Sparky Anderson paces back and forth in the Cincinnati dugout. Reds lost yesterday 3-2, are losing here in the ninth 2-0. And the A's have loaded them up with 2 outs, with both their 8-9 batters reaching base. A single to Green, and there's a pitch that's out of the strike zone, up high, and it's ball 1 to Campaneris. Green reached on a base hit, and he walked Hunter on 4 pitches. The pitcher. Pitching from a windup now with the bases loaded. Hall comes right back with a fastball. It is inside, and it is 2-0. Hall now just steps back. Off the mound, goes to the rosin bag. Campaneris stares down to Irv Norton, the third base coach, who gives him the sign. That bullpen remains busy for the Reds. 2-0. They don't want another run to score here in the 9th inning. Comes back and throws one right down the middle. 2 balls, 1 strike. Looks as though Hall then knew that Campaneris would be taking all the way, because he had thrown 6 pitches that were not in the strike zone and just aimed it down the middle. 2-1. Campaneris, the right-handed batter, crouching in over the plate. Left-hander Hall throws, swing, and a miss. It's 2-2. Hendrick is at third base. Green at second. Hunter on at first. Hall has the sign. Nods. Throws on 2-2, foul behind the plate. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes to Campaneris. Suspended for the playoff series because of the bat throwing incident in the second game. Not allowed to play. He's been allowed to play in the World Series, but will miss the first week of action next year. Under 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hall ready. Throws the fastball, and he gets a bit of it and fouls it to the screen. And that's the pitch that Campaneris wanted. That pitch was out over the plate, and Campy had a good swing at it, but didn't get it. It's 2-2. Monty, we keep talking about the record crowd here. It seems as though you and I have been sitting here talking to ourselves. It's just been, I would imagine, one of the quietest of all World Series crowds. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hall right back, throws the blazing fastball and strikes him out. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and the bases are left loaded. We go to the last of the 9th. The Reds have one more chance. They trail Oakland 2-0. The United States retained the Davis Cup today on the strength of Stan Smith's clutch performance against Romania's Ion Chiriac. Smith defeated the 33-year-old Chiriac in a 3-hour match before 6,000 noisy, excitable Romanian fans in Bucharest.
Smith won 4-6, 6-2, 6-4, 2-6, 6-love, wearing down Chiriac in the final set. There were frequent disputes over line calls as the fans roared their support for Chiriac. With the United States leading 2-1 going into the match, Chiriac had to win for Romania to stay alive in the Davis Cup competition. Chiriac rose to the occasion and played superbly when he leveled at 2 sets all with the crowd on its feet, cheering every point he won. It appeared he might upset Smith. But Smith, as he has every year for the last 5 years, hung on to win the decisive point in the Davis Cup victory. Romania, the first communist country to stage the final round of the Davis Cup, failed to break the domination by the big four tennis powers. Since the Davis Cup started in 1900, only the U.S., Australia, Britain, and France have won it.
Well, we go to the last half of the ninth inning, and the man on the Oakland pitching staff who finished the game more times that he started than any other pitcher, Jim Catfish Hunter, with 16 complete games, is 3 outs away from his biggest win of his major league career. As we go to the last half of the ninth inning, the A's have 2 runs on 9 hits, the Reds no runs on 4 hits, and here's Jim Simpson. All right, Monty, and Perez is in trouble for Hunter today. Drew a walk in the second, single chopped in the fourth, and grounded into a fourth play in the sixth. Hunter pitching, throwing, and it's foul to the screen. Should Cincinnati lose today, it would be their 7th consecutive World Series loss at home. They haven't won a home game in the World Series since 1940 against Detroit. They would like to win this one today. Hunter right back, breaking pitch, just missed outside. Hunter thought he had it. 1 ball, 1 strike to Perez, with Dennis Menke on deck. Cincinnati was only shut out 7 times all season long, the lowest in the National League. Hunter's trying to do that today. Back again with the fastball. Misses low and away, and it is 2-1 to Perez. A's lead it 2-0, but left and fly back to Oakland this afternoon with a 2-game ball. Perhaps they don't know it, but no team has ever lost the first 2 games at home and then gone on to win a World Series. Back again, fouled out of play. The fastball fouled off to the right. It is 2 balls, 2 strikes. Perez steps out. Hunter gets the new ball. The Oakland bullpen is busy. The Reds bullpen is busy. Hunter looks in for the sign. Ready for the 2-2 pitch. Throws the fastball line drive. Campanel's over his glove. He keeps it to his playing, and Perez keeps the Reds alive. And now the potential tying run, Menke, comes to bat. That is just the 5th hit of Jim Catfish Hunter. But it's a big one. Menke has struck out in the second, swinging to a high fastball, and has since grounded into a double play and grounded out. Mando checks with Williams. And a big point here is if Menke should hit it on the ground. Those A's have had trouble turning over the double play here on this carpet. The pitch, line to left field. Back goes Rudi, looking up. He's got it against the wall. And now retreating to first base goes Perez, and there's a fielding gem of the 1972 World Series. Hendrick is all the way over left field, stopping Rudi on the back. He went 4 or 5 or 6 feet in the air, and when he came down, it's what they call an ice cream cone. A lot of the white was showing. But Joe Rudi catches the line drive of Dennis Menke, and that's enough to bring Dick Williams out of there with his scorecard. I tell you, Rudi has been it, Jim, when we signed on yesterday and started talking about the A's ball club, we said the most consistent performer Oakland has had all year, both in the field and at the plate, has been Joe Rudi. And that is what you call wiping it off the wall. Just about every World Series becomes famous for defensive plays, and I think when they make the World Series film highlights this year, that will be one of the opening shots. Now, Jim Honeycutt goes out to a Williams who's on the mound, and Dick might be saying, look, we've got left-hander Geronimo coming up. You want to face him, or there's white or blue out there? And Hunter has given him the word he wants to face Geronimo. He has struck him out, forced him to ground out, and hit a lazy fly to center field. Geronimo did hit a home run in the playoffs. 2-0 the score. Geronimo represents the tying run. Perez is at first base. And he was around second base and wheeling for third. No idea, nor did I. And I believe very few others of us thought that Joe Rudi would make that catch. Looks like the Reds were right back in business. Bando in.
Paper ball is chopped to bunted toward him at third base. Fastball is fouled away. Keegan is holding the runner on at first. Green and Campaneris are back on the carpet, well and back at second and short. But Bando is in on the carpet in front of third base. They are playing Geronimo to hit to the other way, the other field, not to pull the ball. But he pulls the ball. What a catch! Made by Hegan. He drops it, but gets up and tags the bag. Hegan has saved a base hit. That's the reason he goes in the ball game, Jim. He is just incredible over there. With the runner being held at first base, it's impossible to think he could get a glove on that ball. 2 are out. Perez goes down to second base. 2 fabulous. I know that's an overused word, but 2 fabulous fielding plays turned in by Joe Rudi, who had much the more spectacular. But of course, when Keegan flagged that ball down, that saved runners being at first and third. And now it looks as though Hal McRae is going to come on. Darrell Cheney not getting a chance to bat. McRae yesterday had a 1 and 2 count, as I recall, on him with Vida Blue, and Blue threw him a little curveball, and McRae laced it to left field for a base hit. 2 out now. Catfish Hunter 1 out away from winning the second World Series game and putting the Reds down 2-0 in games and heading for the opponent's ballpark. Bando raced to the dugout to ask Dick Williams something. Now he's in back of the bag, near the line to guard against the extra base hit. They'll give him the 1 run, but they don't want the extra base hit. Ground ball in the hole right there. Around third base comes Perez. The Blue goes to second. They'll give him the 1 run. It's 2-1. Cut out and now they're alive, and Javier is coming to bat with 2 out, and McRae at first base. Javier yesterday was up as a pinch hitter and failed to reach base. He rounded to second base. That was also in the 9th inning. Is in. Hawkins to Hunter. Javier only went to bat 91 times in 44 games, and it's slightly over 200. 209. Rose is on deck. Javier becomes the key man. Hunter can look over and see Rose and know that if Javier reaches, not only does Rose come up, but Javier would be the winning run. This is the last of the ninth. McRae right now is the winning run. Baker pardon because 1 run is in. 2-1. Oakland lead. Bando comes well in on the carpet, and now Dick Williams is coming out. He may go to Rollie Fingers. I don't know, Monty. He knows that Cincinnati is out of left-handed pinch hitters. And he also knows that Catfish Hunter might be out of gas because they have hit 3 balls here in this inning very, very hard. So he's going to bring in, I believe, the sidearm right-hander, Rollie Fingers. We call him the Cucamonga Kid. He's the only man I've ever known who lived in Cucamonga, California, Jim, but he lived there. He pitched in a World Series before. It was the Junior American Legion World Series before he signed a bonus contract with the then Kansas City organization. He became the most valuable player in that World Series as he not only pitched well, but hit well in it. While Fingers comes on, we pause 30 seconds for station identification.
This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.
American Forces Radio in the Canal Zone. This is SCN, 790 and 1420.
The Patriots have scored on a 41-yard touchdown run by Carl Garrett. The extra point by Gogolak, and the Jets now leading New England 21-13. In the third period, a touchdown by Paul Warfield and a 19-yard pass from Earl Morrall. Now Miami 24, San Diego 3.
Rollie Fingers, who had some incredible saves in the playoffs against the Detroit Tigers, he came into one of the games with runners at first and third and nobody down in extra innings and did not allow a run. He went into another one of the playoff games against Detroit with runners at first and third and 1 out and did not allow a run. And he came on here yesterday in the ball game against the Cincinnati ball club and pitched 1 2/3 innings, striking out 3 batters. He came on with Johnny Bench at second base in a 1-0 game at that time.
And he kept Finch from going over to third base by striking out the right-handed batting Perez. Then he struck out Dennis Minchie, and then he got Geronimo to line out to left field. He then pitched into the next inning, gave up a single to Concepcion, then struck out Eulander at a critical time, and after walking Rose was taken out.
Well, this is a big inning, the biggest yet of the World Series. Rollie Fingers and the A's get out of it. They go home with a 2-game-to-none lead. If the Reds do come back, they will have come back from the brink of disaster and perhaps shell-shock the Oakland A's and go west with no worse than a 50-50 split. Over at first base is McRae. Fingers ready. 2 out. 2-1 to score. Last of the ninth. The right-hander prepares to throw. Ground foul off to the right. Javier, 209 hitter, remember, during the regular season. Rounded out yesterday in his only pinch-hitting role prior to this in this World Series. But in the World Series of 67 and 68 against Boston and Detroit, was better than a 350 hitter. Strike one to Costa Javier. Rollie Fingers out there now, checks the first base just to make sure that McRae is close. Keegan brings the ball back to it. Might have had a mix-up on signals there and caught Egan a little unsure of what might happen.
Came pretty close to balking right there, and I would imagine Mike's going to remind Rollie, don't give him that knee bend again.
One strike. Looking, throwing the breaking pitch, swing and a miss, and he's out in front of Javier, 0-2. Threw him the fastball first, and Javier fouled off to the right. Then came in with a big, slow curve, and it's 0-2. Fingers, as Monty described to me, as a man that this kind of situation, he's never been in the World Series before, but pressure does not bother. Seldom bothers any of your real good relief pitchers, of which Rollie Fingers is one. Comes back with a breaking pitch, low and away, backhanded by Tennis in the dirt. That is 1 ball, 2 strikes. Oakland 2, Reds 1. We are in the last of the ninth with 2 out as Javier steps out. Hunter worked 8 2/3 innings, gave up 1 run, should be responsible for another. 6 hits, struck out 6, and walked 3. There goes the runner. Big curveball. It is popped up in play. Egan comes off first base. Has it. Oakland goes home, leading 2-0. Fingers does the job for Catfish Hunter. The entire Oakland team is out on the field in the playing diamond looking for Rollie Fingers. 2 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for the winning A's, 1 run, 6 hits, no errors for the Reds.
Well, in a World Series in which the Oakland A's were the decided underdogs, everywhere that they were talking about the favorites, they had to favor this tremendous Cincinnati ball club, a very highly talented club. Both these teams coming right off a very hard 5-game playoff series to win their way into the World Series. Neither team really hitting the ball well, but the A's hitting it well enough and getting super pitching. And today, defense was the name of the game in the late innings for the Oakland A's. Joe Rudi made one of the greatest catches I've ever seen in following this game of baseball. Mike Egan made a tremendous play at first base, almost turned it into a double play. And then, of course, the combination of the great relief work by Rollie Fingers, who had to get one man and got him. But I think, Jim, you have to look back for the turning point of this ball game when Jim Hunter, in the second inning, leading only 1-0, had runners at first and second and nobody down, and reached back and got all that big extra stuff that he had to have to strike out Dennis Minchie, Cesar Geronimo, and then he walked Caney intentionally to pitch to Ross Grimsley and struck him out. And that is what you call World Series pressure pitching, and he is the winner today as a result of that.
Bonnie will also point out that Joe Rudi not only made that fantastic catch in the 9th inning, but it was his home run that won the ball game as it turned out. That was the game winner in this 2-1 ball game.
Well, the second game of the 1972 World Series now history, and the surprising Oakland Athletics ahead 2-0 by virtue of their 2-1 victory. Of course, Oakland the underdog, but supposed to have good pitching, probably as good, if not better, all around than Cincinnati, and it has proven true thus far. The pitching is held up. In the first game, of course, Kenny Holtzman relieved by Rollie Fingers, and then Fida Blue. And in this game, Catfish Hunter going 8 2/3 innings, and Fingers coming on to get the all-important save. So they're getting ready to move back now to Oakland, or move to Oakland for the first time. A night game scheduled as is the custom as it started in 1971. During the week, 3 night games in Oakland, and of course the A's with a chance now to win it at home before the hometown fans, up 2-0. Scheduled to pitch for the Oakland A's on Tuesday night when the series resumes, Johnny Blue Moon Odom. His opposition, one of 2 pitchers, possibly Jack Billingham and possibly Don Gullett. And during the course of this game, Mr. Gullett was warming up in the bullpen for Cincinnati, and whether he was warming up to possibly come in relief in this game, game number 2, or possibly because he was warming up just trying to get in some work for game number 3. But as it stands, either Don Gullett or Jack Billingham, game number 3 for the Cincinnati Reds. This broadcast was authorized under rights granted by the Commissioner of Baseball, solely for the entertainment of the AFRTS listening audience. Any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Our thanks once again to Jim Simpson and Monty Moore of NBC Radio. The final score once again, Game 2, Oakland 2, Cincinnati 1. Army Sergeant Preston Klaus speaking along with T.C. Carter for our engineers Ed Claynott, Ernie Gamble. This has been a presentation of AFRTS Sports in Washington. This is the American Forces Radio and Television Service.